Wealth changes life only when the mind changes first. That is the truth behind this audiobook. This is not about quick money or empty motivation. It is about the daily thoughts, habits, and choices that shape your financial future. If you have ever felt stuck, overwhelmed, or unsure about how to move forward, this message is for you. Inside this journey, you will learn how to build a stronger mindset. Replace weak thinking with clear thinking, save with discipline, spend with awareness, and make decisions that protect your peace. You will also see how small daily actions can create real change over time. Nothing here is complicated. Nothing here is unrealistic. It is practical, honest, and built for people who want a better life and are ready to work for it. There is a deeper side to wealth that many people never talk about. It is the inner game. It is the part that controls how you respond when money is tight, when pressure rises, and when opportunities appear. Stay with this audiobook, because each chapter will help you think more clearly, act more wisely, and build a future with more stability, confidence, and freedom. Chapter 1. Build clear wealth vision aligned with your values daily. A life without a clear wealth vision is a life that reacts instead of leads. Money comes in, money goes out. Decisions are made under pressure. Days pass, months pass, years pass. Then one day a person wakes up and wonders why effort has not turned into peace, why work has not turned into freedom, why income has not turned into security. The answer is often not a lack of effort. It is a lack of direction. A clear wealth vision gives your money a purpose. It gives your choices a direction. It gives your daily actions meaning. Without it, even a good income can disappear into noise. With it, even a modest income can become the start of something strong and steady. Wealth is not only about earning more, it is about building a life that reflects your values. It is about using money as a tool rather than a master. It is about becoming the kind of person who makes wise choices even when no one is watching. Many people chase money because they believe money alone will solve their problems. They think a bigger salary will remove stress. They think more possessions will create confidence. They think a larger bank balance will heal uncertainty. Sometimes more money does help with certain pressures. That part is real. But money without vision often creates new forms of confusion. A person can have more and still feel lost. A person can earn more and still spend with no control. A person can grow wealth and still live with fear because they never decided what wealth was for. A clear wealth vision begins with an honest question. What kind of life do you want to build? Not what impresses others. Not what looks good for a short moment. What kind of life actually supports your peace, your values, your family, your growth, and your future? This question matters because money is never just numbers. Money becomes a mirror. It reveals habits. It reveals beliefs. It reveals patience or lack of patience. It reveals whether a person is building with discipline or drifting with desire. A strong wealth vision is personal. It cannot be copied from someone else. One person may want enough financial strength to care for parents and create stability at home. Another may want freedom to start a small business and control their time. Another may want to travel while still investing wisely. Another may want to live simply and give generously. None of these goals are wrong. The wrong thing is to follow a vision that does not belong to you. When your goals are borrowed from social media or from the expectations of others, you will always feel tension. You will keep chasing outcomes that never truly satisfy you. To build a clear vision, you must first become honest about your values. Values are the truths that guide your decisions when emotions are strong and temptation is near. If you value peace, then reckless spending will disturb you. If you value family, then financial decisions must protect home life. If you value freedom, then debt should be treated carefully. If you value generosity, then wealth should not end at personal comfort. If you value growth, then learning must be part of your financial plan. Wealth that is aligned with values does not feel empty. It feels calm. It feels intentional. It feels like a life being built with care. There is a quiet strength in knowing what matters to you. Many people are pulled in 10 directions, because they have never chosen one direction with full attention. They are influenced by trends. They are pressured by comparison. They are moved by fear. So they spend on what does not matter and ignore what does. A clear vision removes much of that confusion. It teaches you to say yes with purpose and no with confidence. Not every opportunity is for you. Not every purchase deserves your money. Not every financial move is wise just because it is popular. The first practical step is simple. Write down what wealth means in your life. Do not make it abstract. Be specific. Wealth may mean no longer living paycheck to paycheck. It may mean having 6 months of savings. It may mean owning a home. It may mean sending your children to school without stress. It may mean being able to help a loved one in hard times. It may mean building a business that serves others. It may mean creating time freedom so your days belong to you again. Put words to it. A dream that stays vague will stay weak. A dream that is named begins to grow teeth. It starts to shape your behavior. The next step is to connect that vision to your values. Ask yourself, what kind of person must you become to reach that future? A stable future often requires a disciplined present. A free future often requires a patient present. A generous future often requires a careful present. A secure future often requires a humble present. There is no clean path to strong results without strong habits. You do not accidentally create a wealthy life. You build it through repeated choices that often look small when seen alone but become powerful over time. A wealth vision aligned with values also protects you from emotional spending. Many purchases are not based on need. They are based on mood. People buy to feel better. They buy to escape stress. They buy to look successful. They buy because they feel left behind. But emotional spending often leaves a person emptier after the excitement fades. A clear vision gives you a reason to pause. It asks one question before the money leaves your hands. Does this move me closer to the life I say I want? That question can save you from years of regret. It can stop small leaks before they become large losses. Discipline is easier when purpose is clear. This is one of the oldest truths in life. A person can endure difficult work when the reason is meaningful. A person can save when the future matters. A person can delay pleasure when the reward is worthy. Without purpose, discipline feels like punishment. With purpose, discipline becomes self-respect. Every time you choose wisely, you are telling yourself that your future matters. You are showing that your comfort today will not control your life tomorrow. That is stoic thinking. It is not cold. It is clear. It refuses to be ruled by impulse. A strong wealth vision does not only point to money in the bank, it points to the kind of life that money should support. It asks deeper questions. What kind of morning do you want? What kind of home environment do you want? What kind of stress level is acceptable? What kind of work do you want to do? What kind of people do you want around you? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? These questions matter because wealth is not only about accumulation. Wealth is about design. It is about building a life where your finances serve your values and your values guide your finances. One of the most powerful habits you can build is daily review. Each day, take a few quiet minutes to look at your vision again, not in a dramatic way, not with pressure, just with honest attention. Read what you wrote. Think about the life it describes. Ask yourself whether your actions today support that future. This daily practice keeps your mind pointed in the right direction. It prevents drift. It brings your choices back under your control. A life without review becomes careless. A life with review becomes intentional. The reason daily review matters is because the world constantly tries to pull your attention away from what is important. News, entertainment, comparison, fear, other people's choices. All of these can fill the mind with noise. When the mind is full of noise, it becomes harder to make wise financial decisions. You may buy things you do not need. You may accept work that does not fit your goals. You may follow advice that sounds attractive but serves someone else's life. Daily reflection clears the fog. It returns you to your own path. Clarity also requires honesty about where you are now. Some people avoid thinking about their finances. because the truth feels uncomfortable. They do not want to see debt. They do not want to see low savings. They do not want to see poor habits. But avoidance does not fix anything. It only delays the lesson. Real growth begins when you are willing to face the present without shame. Shame is heavy. Responsibility is lighter. Shame says I am broken. Responsibility says I can begin again. A mature wealth vision is not built on denial. It is built on truth. Truth gives you power. If you know your income, you can plan better. If you know your spending, you can adjust. If you know your debt, you can face it. If you know your strengths, you can use them. If you know your weaknesses, you can protect against them. The goal is not to judge yourself. The goal is to understand yourself well enough to move with wisdom. A person who knows their numbers knows their options. A person who knows their habits knows their risks. A person who knows their values knows their direction. A useful exercise is to imagine your life 5 years from now if you stay exactly where you are. Not to scare yourself, to wake yourself up. If your habits do not change, what will life look like? Then imagine the same 5 years with discipline, with savings, with learning, with better choices, with a stronger sense of purpose. Notice the difference. One version may bring more pressure and regret. The other may bring peace and confidence. This is not fantasy. It is cause and effect. Choices grow into outcomes. A clear vision makes sacrifice easier because sacrifice no longer feels wasted. When you know what you are building, then saying no has meaning. Saying no to impulse becomes saying yes to security. Saying no to waste becomes saying yes to freedom. Saying no to vanity becomes saying yes to stability. The mind handles sacrifice better when it sees the larger purpose. That is why people who lack a vision often struggle with consistency. They cannot feel the value of what they are giving up. But when the future is vivid, the present becomes manageable. You must also protect your vision from comparison. Comparison is one of the fastest ways to damage peace. It makes people measure their progress against someone else's highlight reel. It makes them feel behind when they are actually moving well. It creates urgency where none is needed. It makes people spend to keep up with appearances instead of building real strength. A values-based wealth vision keeps you grounded. It reminds you that your job is not to copy someone else's life. Your job is to build your own with honesty and patience. Patience is one of the deepest forms of strength in wealth building. Many people want visible results before they have developed visible discipline. They want the reward before the work. They want the comfort before the character. They want the outcome without the process. Life does not usually work that way. Wealth grows in seasons. It grows through repetition. It grows through boring decisions made consistently. This is where most people lose heart. They are willing to begin, but not willing to continue. A clear vision helps you continue because you can see beyond the mood of the moment. When your wealth vision is clear, your daily behavior starts to change in quiet ways. You think before you buy. You ask better questions before you commit. You become more careful with time because you know time is linked to money. You become more open to learning because you know skill creates value. You become more disciplined with small habits because you understand that small habits become large outcomes. A clear vision changes how you use your energy. It makes you less reactive and more deliberate. One of the most important parts of building wealth is learning to respect the beginning. Many people dismiss small steps because they do not look impressive. A small savings account seems weak. A basic budget seems simple. A modest side income seems too small. A few minutes of daily planning seems unimportant. Yet every strong financial life is built from small foundations. No stable future appears without humble beginnings. The person who can stay committed to small wise actions is already developing the mind of someone who will grow. Another useful habit is to speak your vision out loud in simple language, not as a performance, as a reminder. Say what you are building and why it matters. Saying it clearly helps your mind remember. It gives shape to your intentions. It helps you notice when your actions are moving away from the path. Many people fail to follow through because their vision lives only as a feeling. Feelings fade. Words written down and repeated daily remain. They become a compass. They guide action when motivation disappears. A wealth vision aligned with values also changes the way you see success. Success is not only the amount you earn, it is also the peace you keep. It is the habits you maintain. It is the freedom you protect. It is the pressure you reduce. It is the people you support. It is the integrity you hold when nobody is checking. This is a more mature view of wealth. It is not shallow. It is durable. It does not depend on short bursts of excitement. It rests on character. Character is what carries wealth through hard seasons. Income can change. Markets can change. Jobs can change. Opportunities can change. But character gives you stability when life shifts. A person with character does not panic at every setback. They adjust, they think, they continue. They do not turn every hardship into a crisis. They see difficulty as part of the road. That is the Stoic way. Accept what you cannot control. Work carefully on what you can. A clear wealth vision keeps this mindset alive. There will be days when progress feels slow. That is normal. There will be days when temptation feels strong. That is normal too. There will be days when you question whether your efforts matter. They do matter. Most meaningful growth is invisible before it is obvious. The habit of showing up is often more important than the mood of showing up. Keep your vision near. Review it. Protect it. Trust the process of becoming. Strength does not arrive all at once. It is built choice by choice. The daily practice is simple, even if the results are powerful. Wake up and remember what you are building. Spend with awareness. Work with purpose. Learn with humility. Save with patience. Act with discipline. Review your progress at the end of the day. Ask where you stayed aligned and where you drifted. Then begin again tomorrow. This repetition may seem ordinary, but ordinary things repeated with discipline create extraordinary results. Do not wait for perfect conditions to begin. Many people spend years waiting for the right income level, the right moment, the right opportunity, the right confidence. They imagine that clarity will come later. In truth, clarity often comes through action. You start where you are. You make your values visible. You define your vision. You let your daily behavior prove that you mean it. As you move forward, the vision becomes sharper. As you make better choices, your confidence grows. As your life begins to reflect your values, you feel more at peace. A clear wealth vision does not make life free from problems. It makes problems easier to face. It gives shape to your discipline. It reduces confusion. It strengthens restraint. It helps you make choices you can stand behind. That is real power. Not loud power. Not shallow power, quiet power. The kind that grows through self-control and purpose. The kind that makes a person reliable. The kind that creates trust. The kind that lasts. A life built on values is a life with fewer regrets. When money supports your deeper principles, it becomes a source of strength rather than conflict. You stop using wealth to fill emotional gaps and start using it to build a life that feels honest. You begin to understand that financial growth and personal growth are tied together. One shapes the other. A poor mind can mishandle good money. A disciplined mind can handle limited money and still build a better future. So the real work begins inside. It begins with clarity. It begins with values. It begins with the courage to define a life that actually deserves your effort. Hold your vision close. Write it down. Read it often. Refine it as you grow. Let it remind you that your money should serve your life, and your life should honor your values. Let it keep you steady when others rush. Let it keep you humble when progress comes. Let it keep you focused when distractions rise. A clear wealth vision is not just a financial tool. It is a way of living with intention. It helps you become a person who does not simply earn and spend, but builds and becomes. That is the beginning of lasting wealth. That is the start of a stronger mind. That is the path to a life shaped by wisdom, discipline, and peace. Chapter 2. Identify limiting beliefs and replace them with empowering truths. Your financial life is shaped long before money enters your hands. It begins in your thoughts. It begins in the quiet beliefs you carry about success, opportunity, and your own worth. These beliefs are often invisible. They operate in the background. They influence decisions without asking permission. They shape what you attempt, what you avoid, and what you believe you deserve. Some beliefs push you forward. Others quietly hold you back. Limiting beliefs are not always loud or obvious. They often sound reasonable. They may sound like caution. They may sound like practicality. But when examined closely, they restrict growth. They reduce ambition. They create hesitation. They weaken discipline. Over time, they become barriers that keep you in the same place. A person may say money is only for lucky people. Another may believe wealth is reserved for those born into privilege. Someone else may think they are not smart enough to manage finances. Others may believe they always fail when they try something new. These thoughts become internal rules. They create invisible walls. A person stops trying before they even begin. They lower their expectations. They accept less than they are capable of building. These beliefs often form early. They can come from childhood experiences. They can come from watching others struggle. They can come from repeated setbacks. They can come from hearing negative ideas repeated over time. When a thought is repeated often enough, it begins to feel like truth. Even when it is not accurate, it becomes familiar. Familiar thoughts feel comfortable, even if they limit growth. The first step is awareness. You cannot change a belief you do not notice. Many people carry limiting beliefs for years because they never stop to question them. They accept them as facts. They build their lives around them. They make decisions based on assumptions instead of possibilities. Awareness changes this. When you pause and examine your thinking, you begin to separate facts from fears. Pay attention to the thoughts that appear when you think about money. Notice the first reaction that enters your mind. Do you feel doubt? Do you feel tension? Do you feel resistance? Do you feel fear of failure? These reactions often reveal hidden beliefs. They show what your mind expects. They show whether you believe growth is possible. Another useful method is to listen to your language. Words reveal beliefs. If you often say, "I cannot afford this," or "I am not good with money," or "I never succeed," you are reinforcing limits. These statements shape your identity. They influence your behavior. When you repeat them, they become part of how you see yourself. Over time, your actions follow your identity. Limiting beliefs reduce effort. When someone believes success is unlikely, they invest less energy. They stop learning. They avoid opportunities. They withdraw from challenges. This creates a cycle. Low effort leads to weak results. Weak results confirm the belief. The belief grows stronger. Breaking this cycle begins with questioning the belief itself. Ask yourself where the belief came from. Was it formed after one failure? Was it influenced by someone else's opinion? Was it created during a difficult period? Many beliefs lose their strength when examined. You may discover that the belief was based on incomplete information. You may realize it no longer applies to your life. You may see that it was shaped by fear rather than reality. Once you identify a limiting belief, the next step is to replace it with an empowering truth. This is not about unrealistic optimism. It is about grounded confidence. An empowering truth is practical and realistic. It expands your options. It encourages growth. It supports discipline. For example, a limiting belief may say, "I am bad with money." An empowering truth could be, "I can learn to manage money step by step." This shift changes your behavior. Instead of avoiding financial decisions, you begin to study them. Instead of feeling helpless, you begin to take control. Small changes in thinking create meaningful changes in action. Another limiting belief may say, "I do not have enough income to build wealth." An empowering truth may say, "I can start small and grow gradually." This belief encourages patience. It encourages saving even small amounts. It supports long-term thinking. It shifts attention from obstacles to opportunities. Replacing beliefs requires repetition. A single thought does not change a pattern built over years. You must reinforce empowering truths daily. Write them down, read them in the morning, reflect on them at night. Over time, they become natural. Your mind begins to accept them. Your behavior begins to reflect them. It is also important to gather evidence. Empowering truths become stronger when supported by action. If you believe you can improve financial discipline, begin with small steps. Track expenses. Save a small amount. Learn a basic concept. Each action proves the belief. Each success strengthens confidence. Limiting beliefs often create emotional resistance. You may feel discomfort when challenging them. This is normal. Growth often feels unfamiliar at first. Your mind prefers what is known, but discomfort is not danger. It is a signal that you are stepping beyond old patterns. Accept the discomfort. Continue forward with calm determination. A stoic mindset supports this process. Stoic thinking focuses on what you can control. You cannot control past experiences. You cannot control what others believe. You cannot control sudden setbacks. But you can control your thoughts. You can control your responses. You can choose which beliefs you reinforce. This control is powerful. It shifts responsibility back to you. Another useful practice is to visualize yourself acting according to empowering truths. Imagine making disciplined financial decisions. Imagine learning new skills. Imagine managing money with calm focus. This mental rehearsal prepares your mind. It makes new behaviors feel familiar. When opportunities appear, you respond with greater confidence. Your environment also influences beliefs. Surround yourself with positive examples. Read stories of people who built wealth gradually. Learn from individuals who started with limited resources. Exposure to growth-oriented thinking weakens limiting beliefs. It shows what is possible. It replaces doubt with perspective. Patience is essential. Belief transformation is not instant. It develops through repetition and reflection. Some beliefs may resist change. Others may fade quickly. Stay consistent. Each day you challenge limiting thoughts. You strengthen empowering ones. Over time, your mindset becomes more resilient. It is also important to avoid harsh self-judgment. Everyone carries limiting beliefs. They are part of human experience. Growth begins when you approach them with curiosity instead of criticism. Replace frustration with focus. Replace doubt with discipline. Replace fear with steady action. Your beliefs shape your identity. When you adopt empowering truths, you begin to see yourself differently. You start to believe you are capable of growth. You become more willing to learn. You become more comfortable with responsibility. This identity shift is powerful. It influences every area of your life. Empowering beliefs encourage persistence. When setbacks occur, you do not interpret them as failure. You see them as feedback. You adjust your strategy. You continue forward. This resilience is essential for long-term wealth building. Success rarely follows a straight path. It requires adaptation and patience. Another powerful step is to review your beliefs regularly. Once a week, reflect on your thinking. Identify any new doubts that appear. Replace them with empowering truths. This habit keeps your mindset aligned with growth. It prevents old patterns from returning. You may also notice changes in your emotional state. Limiting beliefs often create tension and anxiety. Empowering truths create calm focus. When you believe in your ability to improve, you approach challenges with confidence. You make decisions with clarity. You reduce unnecessary stress. Your financial decisions become stronger as your beliefs improve. You take learning seriously. You manage spending with awareness. You seek opportunities with patience. You build discipline. These actions create steady progress. Over time, your results reflect your mindset. There is strength in taking responsibility for your beliefs. It gives you control over your future. It allows you to shape your direction. It transforms uncertainty into possibility. This is not about ignoring challenges. It is about facing them with clarity and determination. Empowering beliefs also influence how you respond to others. You become less affected by negative opinions. You trust your path. You focus on growth rather than comparison. This independence protects your progress. It keeps your attention on meaningful goals. Consistency remains the foundation. Replace limiting beliefs daily. Reinforce empowering truths through action. Reflect on your progress. Stay patient. Over time, your mindset becomes stronger. Your decisions become wiser. Your financial life becomes more stable. Every strong financial journey begins with belief. When you believe growth is possible, you act with purpose. When you believe discipline matters, you build habits. When you believe patience works, you stay committed. These beliefs shape your behavior. Your behavior shapes your results. The process is simple but powerful. Identify limiting thoughts. Question them calmly. Replace them with empowering truths. Reinforce them through daily action. Continue this cycle. Over time, you build a mindset that supports growth and resilience. Your thoughts guide your actions. Your actions shape your future. When you choose empowering beliefs, you choose progress. When you commit to growth, you build strength. When you maintain discipline, you create stability. This transformation begins within your mind. You have the ability to change your thinking. You have the ability to strengthen your beliefs. You have the ability to create a mindset that supports wealth and growth. This is not reserved for a few. It is available to anyone willing to examine their thoughts and take responsibility for their mindset. The moment you begin challenging limiting beliefs, you begin building a stronger foundation. Each empowering truth adds stability. Each disciplined action reinforces confidence. Each step forward strengthens resilience. Over time, your mindset becomes aligned with success. This is how transformation begins. Quietly, gradually, consistently, you shape your beliefs. Your beliefs shape your behavior. Your behavior shapes your life. Chapter 3. Develop disciplined saving habits that support long-term growth. Saving money is one of the most honest tests of self-control. It reveals whether a person is led by impulse or guided by purpose. Many people talk about wanting security, freedom, and stability. Few build the habits that create them. The difference is not always income. The difference is often discipline. A disciplined saving habit is not a sign of fear. It is a sign of maturity. It shows that you are thinking beyond the moment and choosing the future with care. Saving is not simply about keeping money aside. It is about training your mind to respect the life you are trying to build. Every time you save, instead of spend without thought, you strengthen your character. Every time you protect a part of your income, you create a small wall between your future and uncertainty. That wall may begin thin, but over time it becomes strong. It can help you face job loss, medical bills, family pressure, business delays, and unexpected changes without losing your balance. People often delay saving because they believe they need a large income first. That belief keeps many trapped. Saving is not only for people with high earnings, it is for anyone who wants order. Even a small amount matters when it is repeated with patience. Small savings may feel unimportant in 1 week, but they become powerful across months and years. The habit matters more than the amount at the beginning. What starts small can grow into a source of calm and confidence. The mind resists saving because saving asks for restraint. It asks you to say no to some immediate comfort. It asks you to accept that not every desire deserves attention. This is where discipline enters. Discipline is the bridge between income and future strength. Without discipline, money slips away. With discipline, money begins to serve your life instead of controlling it. You become less fragile because you are no longer living only for today. A disciplined saver sees money differently. Money is not just for spending, it is also for protecting. It is for preparing. It is for building. When you receive income, the first question is not what can I enjoy right now. The first question is what portion of this should be preserved for my future. This simple shift changes everything. It creates order. It creates margin. It creates space to breathe. People who save regularly do not feel the same panic when life becomes difficult because they have already built a cushion. One of the strongest habits you can develop is to save before you spend. Many people save only what remains after the month is over and then wonder why nothing stays. That method gives your spending full control and gives your future whatever is left. A better method gives your future priority. Set aside a portion first. Make it non-negotiable. Treat it like a bill owed to your own peace. This is not deprivation. It is self-respect. You do not need a perfect plan to begin. You need consistency. Start with a fixed amount or a fixed percentage that feels realistic and sustainable. The goal is not to impress anyone. The goal is to build trust with yourself. A habit kept for a year matters more than a promise made with excitement and broken in a week. Saving should feel steady. It should feel calm. It should feel dependable. One useful practice is to make saving automatic. When money passes through your hands, it is easier to spend it on impulse. When saving happens automatically, you remove some of the emotional struggle. This is practical wisdom. Less debate means less weakness. Less chance means less damage. A decision made once and repeated quietly can protect you from hundreds of small mistakes. Automation does not replace discipline. It supports discipline. It helps your better intentions survive busy days, tired moods, and momentary cravings. A disciplined saver also understands the difference between needs and wants. This may sound simple, but many lives are weakened by confusion here. Wants often disguise themselves as needs. A new purchase feels urgent until the feeling passes. A habit of asking honest questions before spending can save a great deal of stress. Do I truly need this now? Does this support my priorities? Will I still be glad I bought this next month? These questions slow the mind down enough to make wiser choices. There is also power in giving your savings a clear purpose. Money without purpose is easier to touch. Money with purpose becomes harder to waste. Name your savings goals clearly: emergency support, future education, business growth, home purchase, travel, family care, peace of mind. When savings has a purpose, it becomes personal. It stops being a boring restriction and starts becoming a meaningful tool. People protect what matters to them. Long-term growth requires patience with delayed reward. This is one of the hardest and most valuable lessons in life. Saving feels unimpressive in the beginning because the benefits are not immediate. Yet the peace it creates later is real. The protection it offers later is real. The opportunities it makes possible later are real. A person who saves consistently is building a future that they cannot fully see yet. That kind of faith in the process is a form of strength. You will face moments when saving feels difficult. There will be temptations. There will be pressure from friends. There will be seasons when you feel behind. There will be times when you want to spend because the world around you celebrates consumption. In those moments, remember that discipline is not meant for easy days. Discipline proves itself under pressure. A calm decision made in a hard moment can protect months of effort. That is why saving habits must be rooted in identity rather than mood. Tell yourself the truth often. I am someone who prepares. I am someone who protects my future. I am someone who can wait for what matters. These statements are not empty words when they are followed by action. They remind you who you are becoming. They strengthen the part of you that wants peace more than impulse. They help you stay aligned when emotions rise. Track your progress. Simple records can be powerful. When you see your savings grow slowly but surely, you strengthen belief. Progress becomes visible. Visible progress fuels commitment. It shows that your actions are working. Even if the numbers are small at first, the trend matters. A person who can save consistently under ordinary conditions is developing habits that will serve them in larger seasons of life. It is also wise to avoid treating savings as leftover money. Leftovers usually disappear. What you honor, you protect. What you protect grows. Respect your savings as part of your life plan. This mindset makes a great difference. You begin to feel that saving is not a burden placed on your life. It is an act of shaping your life with purpose. Saving habits become easier when you reduce unnecessary spending patterns, not because life should become dull, but because clarity has value. Many expenses are not harmful on their own. The problem comes when repeated unplanned spending drains resources that should have gone to your future. A quiet review of your habits can reveal where your money leaks. Once you see the pattern, you can change it. A disciplined saver is not perfect. A disciplined saver is attentive. There is dignity in restraint. A person who can delay gratification develops a deeper kind of freedom. They are not ruled by every impulse. They are not dependent on every small comfort. They can choose a stronger path because they understand the long view. This is one of the most important inner victories in wealth building. You begin to experience the quiet satisfaction of being able to control yourself. As savings grows, so does confidence. Not fake confidence, real confidence. The kind that comes from evidence. You know you can handle a surprise expense. You know you are less likely to panic. You know you have built a reserve. You know you are moving towards stability. This changes how you carry yourself. It changes how you think. It changes how you respond to pressure. A saved amount may be quiet on paper but loud in its effect on your mind. The goal is not to hoard money in fear. The goal is to create stability so that you can live with more wisdom and less anxiety. Saving gives you options. It gives you room to think. It gives you patience before decisions. It gives you freedom from constant crisis. That freedom is worth protecting. A person who saves with discipline is not only preparing for emergencies. They are also preparing for opportunity. Opportunities often arrive when people are unprepared. A skill upgrade, a business opening, a useful investment, a family need, a chance to move forward. Savings allows you to respond instead of react. It gives you the power to move when the time is right. Building disciplined saving habits is not glamorous. It is often quiet. It happens in small choices repeated again and again. Yet these quiet choices build a strong life. They teach patience. They build trust. They reduce fear. They create stability. They shape character. They prove that you can govern your actions for the sake of a better future. Keep saving even when progress feels slow. Keep saving when temptation feels strong. Keep saving when others do not understand. Keep saving when no one applauds. The habit itself is part of the reward. It trains your mind to think long-term. It teaches your heart to value peace over impulse. It makes your future less fragile and your present more secure. That is how strength grows. That is how wealth becomes more than income. That is how a disciplined person builds a life that lasts. Chapter 4. Track every expense to increase awareness and control spending. Every financial problem becomes easier to solve when you can see where the money goes. That is why tracking every expense matters. Not some expenses. Not most expenses, every expense. The small ones matter because small leaks slowly empty strong vessels. A person can earn well and still struggle if money moves without awareness. A person can have discipline in one part of life and still lose control in another if spending remains hidden. Awareness is the beginning of control. Most people do not lose money in one dramatic moment. They lose it in 1,000 quiet choices. A coffee here, a delivery fee there, a few extra purchases that seemed harmless, a subscription that continues unnoticed, a convenience that feels small. Over time, these habits create pressure. The problem is not always greed or carelessness. Often the problem is simply lack of attention. What is not measured is rarely managed. Tracking expenses gives truth a place to stand. It removes guesswork. It replaces vague feelings with real facts. Many people think they are spending less than they actually are. They remember the big bills but forget the daily habits. They believe they are making progress because the month feels busy and productive. Yet the numbers tell another story. Tracking cuts through self-deception. It reveals reality without drama. That kind of honesty is powerful. At first, expense tracking may feel uncomfortable. That discomfort is useful. It means you are looking closely at behavior that was once automatic. It means you are becoming more aware. A mind that can face numbers without fear becomes stronger. A person who knows their patterns can change them. A person who avoids the numbers stays trapped in confusion. Clarity may sting at first, but confusion costs more in the long run. Tracking expenses does not mean living in fear of every purchase. It means developing a mature relationship with money. It means understanding that every choice carries a consequence. When you know exactly where your money is going, you can make better decisions without guessing. You do not have to rely on memory or emotion. You can rely on facts. Facts make discipline easier because they remove excuses. The habit begins with simple attention. Record what you spend each day. Do it honestly. Do it without trying to make the numbers look better than they are. The goal is not to impress yourself. The goal is to understand yourself. A written record creates accountability. It turns invisible habits into visible patterns. Once a pattern becomes visible, it can be improved. It helps to track spending in real time whenever possible. Waiting until the end of the week or month makes it easier to forget details. Small actions vanish quickly from memory. Real-time recording keeps the truth fresh. It also slows down impulsive behavior. When a person knows they will write down a purchase, they often think more carefully before making it. That pause can save money and strengthen self-control. Tracking every expense also teaches emotional discipline. Many purchases are not based on need. They are based on mood. Stress can lead to spending. Boredom can lead to spending. Frustration can lead to spending. Celebration can lead to spending. When you track your expenses, you begin to see the emotional triggers behind your choices. This awareness is valuable. It helps you separate genuine need from temporary feeling. Once you know your triggers, you can respond with wisdom instead of impulse. If stress causes spending, find a different way to calm yourself. If boredom causes spending, create a better routine. If social pressure causes spending, prepare your boundaries in advance. If celebration causes spending, build lower-cost ways to enjoy the moment. Tracking does more than show numbers, it shows behavior. That is where real change begins. A stoic mind does not blame the world for every financial weakness. It asks what can be controlled. You may not control rising prices. You may not control unexpected events. You may not control other people's habits, but you can control attention. You can control records. You can control decisions. You can control whether you face the truth or hide from it. That is where power lives. Not in denial. In responsibility, there is also great value in identifying categories. When you group your expenses, you see patterns more clearly. Food, transport, bills, entertainment, small purchase, family support, gifts. Each category tells a story. Sometimes the story reveals waste. Sometimes it reveals responsibility. Sometimes it reveals both. The point is not to judge yourself harshly. The point is to learn where your money supports your life and where it quietly drains it. Many people discover that some of their regular spending does not bring real value. It brings only momentary comfort. That realization can be painful, but it is also freeing. You begin to understand that money spent without purpose cannot return as peace. The more intentional you become, the more your spending starts to reflect your actual priorities. The gap between your values and your behavior begins to close. Tracking expenses also strengthens gratitude. When you see how much is going out, you become more aware of what you already have and what matters most. You stop treating money as an endless stream. You start seeing it as a resource that must be respected. Gratitude and discipline work well together. A grateful person is less likely to waste. A disciplined person is more likely to preserve what matters. One powerful habit is to review spending at the end of each day or week. Keep the review simple. Ask what was necessary. Ask what was useful. Ask what was impulsive. Ask what could change next time. This short reflection builds without overwhelm. It turns financial management into a regular act of self-respect. Over time, the review becomes a mirror that teaches you how to improve. You may notice patterns that surprise you. A small amount spent repeatedly can become a serious burden. A habit that seemed harmless can reveal a deeper weakness. That is not a reason for shame. It is a reason for gratitude, because now you know. Knowledge gives you the chance to change. A person cannot solve a problem they refuse to see. Seeing is the first victory. Tracking expenses also protects your future goals. Every dollar has a job. Some money must go to essentials, some should go to savings, some may go to growth, some can go to enjoyment. But when spending is untracked, money often gets assigned by impulse instead of intention. The result is frustration. The future is underfunded because the present was unmanaged. Tracking restores order. It helps you give each dollar a purpose before it disappears. A common excuse is that tracking is too time-consuming. In truth, what takes time is living with the consequences of uncontrolled spending. A few minutes of daily attention can prevent months of regret. Simplicity is often more effective than complexity. A notebook, a phone app, a spreadsheet. Any reliable method works if you use it consistently. The method matters less than the habit of honesty. Another excuse is that small purchases do not matter. This is one of the most costly mistakes a person can make. Small purchases repeated often are exactly what create hidden pressure. 100 small leaks can do more damage than one large mistake because they are harder to notice. Tracking exposes the leak before it becomes a flood. That is wisdom in action. As your awareness grows, your spending naturally becomes more deliberate. You begin to pause before buying. You ask whether the expense supports your goals. You notice when something is only a reaction to emotion. You feel more in charge. Control is not just financial, it is psychological. It gives calm, it reduces regret, it strengthens confidence. The real reward of tracking every expense is not only saving money, it is becoming the kind of person who pays attention. Attention is a form of power. It helps you build order in a life that could easily drift into waste. It helps you stay honest with yourself. It helps you protect your energy. It helps you create space for what truly matters. A person who tracks expenses is less likely to be ruled by impulse and more likely to live by design. That is a major shift. It changes the emotional tone of money. Instead of feeling confused, you feel informed. Instead of feeling helpless, you feel aware. Instead of reacting after the damage is done, you begin acting before the damage begins. This habit may seem simple, but simple habits repeated with discipline can transform a life. Every recorded expense sharpens your judgment. Every review strengthens your control. Every honest observation builds your wisdom. In time, you stop wondering where your money went because you already know. That knowledge gives you freedom. It gives you room to improve. It gives you the chance to spend with purpose and save with confidence. Track every expense, not to punish yourself, not to create fear. Track it to gain clarity. Track it to protect your future. Track it to understand your habits. Track it to become more disciplined with the life you are building. When you see clearly, you can choose wisely. When you choose wisely, you begin to build real strength. That strength is how control grows. That control is how peace begins. Chapter 5. Create simple daily routines that strengthen financial confidence. Financial confidence does not appear suddenly. It grows slow through small daily actions that build trust between you and your decisions. Many people believe confidence comes after they earn more money, but confidence usually comes before growth. When you develop routines that support discipline, your mind begins to relax. You stop guessing, you stop reacting, you start moving with clarity. Simple daily routines create that clarity. Most financial stress comes from uncertainty. When you are unsure about your spending, unsure about your progress, and unsure about your future, your mind becomes restless. A routine reduces that restlessness. It replaces confusion with structure. When you know what you will do each day, your mind gains stability. Stability builds confidence. Confidence improves decisions. Better decisions create stronger results. A daily routine does not need to be complicated. In fact, simple routines work best because they are easier to maintain. Complexity creates resistance. Simplicity encourages consistency. A few minutes each day can shape your financial behavior in powerful ways. The goal is not perfection. The goal is steady improvement. Start your day with a brief moment of awareness. Take a few minutes to think about your financial priorities. Remind yourself why you are working and what you are building. This small act prepares your mind. It helps you approach the day with purpose. Without this pause, it is easy to drift into impulsive choices. With this pause, you remain aligned with your goals. Daily awareness also strengthens discipline. When you remember your priorities early in the day, You carry that clarity into your decisions. You become less likely to spend without thought. You become more careful with your time and energy. This quiet habit trains your mind to stay focused on long-term growth rather than short-term comfort. Another helpful routine is checking your financial activity briefly each day. This does not require deep analysis. A simple review of recent transactions is enough. This habit keeps you connected to your money. It prevents surprises. It helps you catch mistakes quickly. It builds a sense of control. A person who knows what is happening with their finances feels calmer than someone who avoids looking. Daily routines also support mindful spending. Before making purchases, create a habit of pausing. This pause may last only a few seconds, but it changes behavior. Ask yourself if the expense supports your priorities. Ask whether it is necessary now. Ask whether waiting would be wiser. These questions strengthen self-control. Over time, they become natural. You begin to spend with intention instead of emotion. Consistency matters more than intensity. Some people try to change everything at once. They create complex plans that feel overwhelming. After a few days, they abandon the effort. A better approach is to build one small routine at a time. Once it becomes natural, add another. This method creates lasting change. Confidence grows when you keep promises to yourself. A strong daily routine also includes learning. Spend a few minutes each day improving your financial knowledge. Read something practical. Reflect on a lesson. Consider how you can apply it. This habit builds understanding gradually. Knowledge reduces fear. When you understand money better, you make decisions with greater calm. Learning does not require long hours. A few minutes of focused attention can create progress. Over time, these small sessions add up. Your mind becomes more prepared. You begin to notice opportunities. You become less vulnerable to poor advice. Daily learning is like sharpening a tool. It makes your effort more effective. Another useful routine is reviewing your spending at the end of the day. This review should remain simple and honest. Look at what you spent. Notice what was necessary and what was impulsive. This reflection helps you improve tomorrow. It creates awareness without judgment. Over time, this habit shapes your behavior. You begin to act more carefully because you know you will review your choices later. Daily routines also strengthen emotional discipline. Money decisions are often influenced by mood. When you feel stressed, you may spend to feel better. When you feel bored, you may buy something unnecessary. A routine helps you recognize these patterns. You become more aware of your emotions. Awareness allows you to respond calmly instead of reacting impulsively. Confidence grows when you see yourself making wise decisions repeatedly. Each small success builds trust. You begin to believe in your ability to manage money. This belief reduces anxiety. It replaces uncertainty with calm focus. Confidence is not about knowing everything. It is about trusting your ability to learn and improve. Another important routine is setting a small intention for each day. This intention could be saving a small amount, avoiding unnecessary spending, or learning something new. A daily intention keeps your mind focused. It gives your day direction. At the end of the day, reflect on whether you followed through. This simple practice builds discipline. Routines also protect your time. Time is closely connected to money. When your day lacks structure, you may waste energy. You may delay important tasks. You may miss opportunities. A routine creates rhythm. It helps you use your time wisely. Wise use of time leads to better financial outcomes. A person with strong routines also handles setbacks better. When unexpected expenses appear, routines keep you grounded. You return to your habits. You review your situation calmly. You adjust your plan. Without routines, setbacks can lead to panic. With routines, setbacks become manageable challenges. It is also helpful to keep routines realistic. If your routine feels too demanding, you may abandon it. Choose actions that fit your lifestyle. Keep them simple. Keep them consistent. Small routines practiced daily are more powerful than ambitious plans practiced rarely. Financial confidence also grows when you celebrate small progress. Recognize when you follow your routine. Acknowledge when you make wise choices. This recognition strengthens motivation. It reminds you that growth is happening. Confidence grows when you see evidence of improvement. Over time, daily routines become automatic. You no longer struggle to follow them. They become part of your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who manages money carefully. This identity shapes your behavior. It creates lasting discipline. Simple routines also reduce decision fatigue. When you follow a routine, you make fewer impulsive choices. Your mind becomes calmer. You save energy for important decisions. This clarity improves your financial judgment. Another benefit of routines is stability during uncertain times. Life can change quickly. Income can shift. Expenses can rise. A strong routine gives you a steady foundation. You continue your habits even when conditions change. This stability protects your progress. Confidence grows slowly but steadily. Each day you follow your routine, you strengthen your mindset. Each day you practice discipline, you build resilience. Over time, these habits create a strong financial foundation. You do not need perfect conditions to begin. Start with one simple routine today. Keep it consistent. Add another when you are ready. Progress will follow. Confidence will grow. Your decisions will improve. Financial confidence is built through daily discipline. Simple routines create structure. Structure creates clarity. Clarity creates confidence. Confidence leads to stronger actions. Stronger actions create lasting results. When you commit to simple daily routines, you take control of your financial life. You move from uncertainty to awareness. You move from impulse to discipline. You move from stress to calm focus. This transformation begins with small daily actions repeated with patience and purpose. Chapter 6. Invest in skills that increase income and future opportunities. Income rarely grows by accident. It usually grows when a person becomes more valuable. Value increases when skills improve. Skills open doors. Skills create opportunities. Skills give you the ability to solve problems that others cannot solve. When you invest in skills, you are not only learning something new, you are building a stronger future. You are increasing your ability to adapt, earn and grow. Many people focus only on saving money. Saving is important, but saving alone has limits. There is only so much you can reduce. Income growth, however, expands possibilities. When you earn more, you gain flexibility. You gain the ability to invest, support others, and create stability. The path to higher income often begins with learning skills that the world values. Skills create independence. A person with useful skills is less dependent on one employer, one opportunity, or one circumstance. When you know how to create value, you can move forward even when conditions change. This confidence reduces fear. It strengthens your mindset. It gives you the courage to pursue growth without feeling trapped. The first step is to understand that skill development is a long-term investment. It does not deliver instant rewards. It requires patience and effort. Many people abandon learning because they expect quick results. Real growth takes time. Each hour spent learning builds a foundation. Each practice session strengthens ability. Over time, small improvements become noticeable progress. Choose skills that align with opportunity. Look at areas where demand is growing. Look at problems people need solved. Look at industries that reward competence. This does not mean chasing trends blindly. It means being thoughtful about where you invest your time. Learning random skills without purpose can lead to frustration. Learning with intention creates direction. Skill development also requires consistency. A person who learns occasionally may gain knowledge but struggle to apply it. A person who practices regularly builds confidence. Confidence comes from experience. Experience comes from repetition. Even short daily sessions can create strong results over time. There is also value in starting with practical skills. Skills that can be used immediately build motivation. When you see results, you become more committed. Practical learning also helps you understand how knowledge applies in real situations. This strengthens problem-solving ability. It prepares you for opportunities. Investing in skills also changes how you see challenges. Instead of feeling stuck, you begin to see problems as chances to learn. This mindset is powerful. It encourages growth. It builds resilience. A person who learns from challenges becomes more capable with each experience. Another important aspect is patience with beginner stages. Every skill begins with uncertainty. Progress may feel slow. Mistakes are normal. Many people give up during this phase. Those who continue develop strength. They understand that mastery takes time. This patience is part of the reward. Learning also improves adaptability. The world changes quickly. Jobs evolve. Technology advances. New opportunities appear. A person committed to skill development remains prepared. They can adjust. They can learn new tools. They can shift direction when needed. Adaptability protects long-term growth. Confidence grows when you see your skills improving. Each new ability adds to your sense of competence. You become more comfortable taking on challenges. You become more willing to pursue opportunities. This confidence is grounded in effort, not wishful thinking. Another benefit of skill investment is increased problem-solving ability. Skills teach you how to think. They train your mind to analyze situations. They help you approach challenges with clarity. Problem solvers are valuable. Value often leads to higher income and better opportunities. It is also helpful to invest in communication skills. Clear communication improves professional relationships. It helps you express ideas effectively. It builds trust. Many opportunities depend on how well you communicate. Strong communication increases influence and opens doors. Time management is another skill worth developing. Learning how to use time wisely increases productivity. Productivity leads to better results. Better results often lead to growth. Time management also reduces stress. It helps you balance learning with other responsibilities. Another valuable skill is decision-making. Good decisions protect your progress. Poor decisions can slow growth. Practice evaluating options carefully. Consider long-term consequences. Avoid impulsive choices. Strong decision-making supports income growth and opportunity creation. Skill development also requires curiosity. Curiosity encourages exploration. It keeps your mind active. A curious person continues learning throughout life. This mindset prevents stagnation. It keeps you ready for new opportunities. There is also power in learning from others. Observe people who have developed strong skills. Study their habits. Learn from their experiences. This does not mean copying blindly. It means understanding what works. Learning from others can accelerate growth. Practice is essential. Knowledge without practice remains weak. Apply what you learn. Try new approaches. Accept mistakes as part of learning. Each attempt strengthens ability. Over time, practice turns knowledge into skill. Another important step is to track your progress. Notice improvements. Recognize areas that need work. Tracking helps you stay focused. It also provides motivation. When you see growth, you become more committed. Skill development also builds discipline. Learning regularly requires effort. Effort builds character. Character supports long-term success. A disciplined learner becomes more resilient. Resilience helps you handle challenges calmly. It is also wise to invest in skills that complement each other. For example, technical knowledge combined with communication ability creates greater value. Combining skills increases flexibility. It allows you to contribute in multiple ways. Confidence in your skills also reduces fear of uncertainty. When you know you can learn and adapt, you feel less threatened by change. This mindset encourages growth. It helps you pursue opportunities with calm determination. Skill investment is not limited to formal education. Many skills can be learned through practice, reading, and experience. What matters is commitment. Continuous learning keeps you moving forward. Another benefit of skill development is increased creativity. Learning new abilities expands your thinking. You begin to see connections. Creativity leads to innovation. Innovation often leads to opportunity. Patience remains essential throughout this journey. Skill development is gradual. Progress may feel slow at times. Stay consistent, trust the process. Over time, effort produces results. Your future income often reflects your current skills. When you improve skills, you increase your potential. This potential opens doors. Doors lead to opportunities. Opportunities lead to growth. Investing in skills is one of the most reliable ways to build a stronger future. It creates independence. It builds confidence. It improves adaptability. It increases value. Each hour spent learning moves you closer to long-term growth. Start with one skill. Practice regularly. Stay patient. Add new skills as you grow. Over time, you will build a strong foundation. Your confidence will increase. Your opportunities will expand. This path requires effort, but the rewards are meaningful. Skills remain with you. They travel wherever you go. They support you during uncertainty. They help you create income and opportunities. When you invest in skills, you invest in yourself. This investment cannot be taken away. It strengthens your mind. It shapes your future. It builds a life based on growth, resilience, and opportunity. Chapter 7. Practice delayed gratification to prioritize meaningful long-term rewards. The desire for immediate comfort is one of the strongest forces shaping financial behavior. People naturally want results now. They want satisfaction now. They want relief now. This instinct is human, but when it goes unchecked, it quietly weakens long-term growth. Delayed gratification is the discipline of choosing future strength over temporary pleasure. It is not about denying yourself happiness. It is about choosing meaningful rewards that last longer than fleeting excitement. Every day presents choices with immediate comfort and long-term benefit. Spend now or save for later. Relax now or build skills for the future. Follow impulse or follow purpose. These decisions may seem small, yet they shape outcomes over time. A person who practices delayed gratification gains control over their direction. A person who always chooses instant pleasure often finds themselves stuck in cycles of frustration. Delayed gratification requires patience. Patience is not passive, it is active self-control. It is the ability to pause and think before acting. It is the willingness to wait for a reward that holds greater value. This skill builds resilience. It trains your mind to remain steady even when temptation appears. The modern world encourages immediate satisfaction. Convenience is everywhere. Advertising promotes quick pleasure. Social pressure encourages visible spending. These influences make patience more difficult. They create the illusion that happiness comes from instant fulfillment. In reality, many of these quick rewards fade quickly. They leave little lasting value. Long-term rewards require time. Building savings takes time. Learning skills takes time. Creating opportunities takes time. Developing discipline takes time. These rewards are not flashy at first, but they grow stronger with consistency. Delayed gratification allows these rewards to develop. The mind often struggles with delayed gratification because the future feels distant. The present feels real. The future feels abstract. To strengthen patience, bring the future closer in your mind. Think about the stability you want. Think about the freedom you want. Think about the peace you want. These images make delayed gratification easier. They remind you why waiting matters. Another helpful approach is to break large goals into smaller steps. Waiting for a distant reward can feel overwhelming. Smaller milestones create motivation. Each step becomes a reminder that progress is happening. This method makes patience more manageable. Delayed gratification also strengthens emotional control. Impulse spending often happens when emotions run high. Stress, boredom, excitement, or frustration can lead to quick decisions. When you practice waiting, you allow emotions to settle. You give your mind time to evaluate the situation. This pause leads to wiser choices. Confidence grows when you successfully delay gratification. Each time you resist impulse, you build trust in yourself. You prove that you can act with discipline. This trust strengthens your mindset. It prepares you for larger decisions. It is also important to understand that delayed gratification does not mean eliminating enjoyment. Enjoyment is part of a balanced life. The goal is to choose meaningful enjoyment rather than impulsive consumption. When enjoyment is planned, it feels more satisfying, it aligns with your priorities, it does not create regret. Another benefit of delayed gratification is reduced financial stress. When you avoid impulsive spending, you preserve resources. Preserved resources create security. Security reduces anxiety. A calm mind makes better decisions. This cycle strengthens financial confidence. Delayed gratification also builds resilience. Life often presents unexpected challenges. A person who practices patience adapts more easily. They are used to waiting. They are comfortable with gradual progress. This mindset helps during difficult periods. One practical habit is to create a waiting period before making non-essential purchases. This waiting period allows you to evaluate the decision. Many impulses fade with time. If the desire remains after waiting, the purchase may hold more value. This simple habit prevents unnecessary spending. Another useful strategy is to focus on purpose. When you know why you are saving or working, waiting becomes easier. Purpose transforms patience into progress. Without purpose, waiting feels like deprivation. With purpose, waiting becomes meaningful. Delayed gratification also improves decision-making. Quick decisions often rely on emotion. Thoughtful decisions rely on clarity. When you practice patience, you develop clarity. You learn to evaluate consequences. This skill benefits every area of life. It is also helpful to reward yourself for disciplined behavior. Small rewards reinforce positive habits. These rewards should remain balanced and intentional. They should not undo your progress. They should celebrate consistency. The practice of delayed gratification also strengthens long-term thinking. You begin to consider future outcomes. You weigh benefits carefully. This perspective reduces impulsive behavior. It promotes thoughtful action. Patience also improves focus. When you commit to long-term rewards, you become less distracted by short-term temptations. This focus increases productivity. Increased productivity supports growth. Delayed gratification also encourages planning. Planning helps you anticipate needs. It reduces last-minute decisions. Planned actions are often more efficient. Efficiency supports stability. Another benefit is improved self-discipline. Discipline grows when you practice restraint. Each act of restraint strengthens your ability to manage impulses. Over time, discipline becomes natural. Delayed gratification also improves relationships with money. Money becomes a tool for growth rather than immediate consumption. This mindset encourages responsible behavior. It is important to remain patient during slow progress. Long-term rewards develop gradually. Trust the process. Consistent effort produces results. Confidence grows when you see the benefits of patience. Savings increase. Opportunities expand. Stress decreases. These outcomes reinforce disciplined behavior. Delayed gratification also teaches gratitude. When you wait for rewards, you appreciate them more. This appreciation creates satisfaction. Another important aspect is avoiding comparison. Others may pursue immediate pleasure. Their choices do not define your path. Focus on your long-term goals. Delayed gratification builds inner strength. It requires calm decision-making. Calm decision-making supports resilience. Patience also improves adaptability. When plans change, disciplined individuals adjust without panic. This flexibility supports long-term success. Delayed gratification strengthens your ability to prioritize. You focus on what matters most. Prioritization improves results. This practice also reduces regret. Thoughtful decisions create fewer mistakes. Fewer mistakes create peace. Over time, delayed gratification becomes part of your identity. You begin to see yourself as disciplined. This identity shapes behavior. Long-term rewards often bring deeper satisfaction. Stability, freedom, growth. These rewards last longer than temporary excitement. Practicing delayed gratification requires effort, but the benefits are lasting. Each decision to wait strengthens your future. Each moment of patience builds resilience. Choose meaningful rewards. Stay focused, remain disciplined. Your future grows stronger with every patient choice. Chapter 8. Set specific, measurable goals that guide consistent wealth building. Wealth does not grow in a directionless life. It grows where intention exists. When your financial path is unclear, your actions become scattered. You may work hard, but effort without direction rarely creates meaningful progress. Specific, measurable goals change this pattern. They turn confusion into structure. They turn desire into action. They turn effort into results that can be seen and tracked. A goal that is not specific is only a wish. Many people say they want to be financially stable or want to earn more money, but these statements are too broad to guide behavior. The mind cannot act clearly on vague ideas. It needs structure, it needs definition, it needs numbers, timeframes, and clear outcomes. When you define your goals precisely, you give your mind something concrete to work toward. Measurable goals create accountability. When progress can be tracked, it becomes real. You no longer rely on feelings or assumptions. You rely on evidence. This removes uncertainty. It also builds discipline because you can see whether your actions are moving you forward or holding you back. Without measurement, it is easy to believe you are improving even when nothing is changing. A strong financial goal always includes clarity about amount, time, and purpose. The amount gives direction. The time creates urgency. The purpose creates meaning. When these three elements are combined, your mind becomes focused. You stop drifting. You begin to act with intention. Every decision becomes part of a larger structure. Setting goals also helps you prioritize your energy. Not every opportunity deserves your attention. Not every expense deserves your money. When your goals are clear, you can filter distractions. You begin to recognize what supports your direction and what pulls you away from it. This clarity reduces wasted effort and strengthens consistency. One of the most important aspects of goal setting is breaking large objectives into smaller steps. A large financial goal can feel overwhelming if viewed all at once. But when divided into smaller targets, it becomes manageable. Each step becomes a milestone. Each milestone becomes proof of progress. This steady progress builds motivation and keeps you engaged. Measurable goals also help you understand your current position. Many people do not accurately assess where they stand financially. They either underestimate or overestimate their progress. Measurement removes this uncertainty. It shows reality clearly. Once you see reality, you can adjust your behavior with precision. Tracking progress is a powerful habit. When you record your financial growth, you begin to notice patterns. You see what actions lead to improvement and what actions slow you down. This awareness strengthens decision-making. Over time, you begin to act more intelligently because your choices are guided by evidence, not guesswork. Goals also strengthen discipline. When you know what you are working toward, it becomes easier to resist distractions. Each decision can be measured against your goal. Does this action support my target or move me away from it? This simple question builds awareness. It helps you stay focused even when temptation appears. A measurable goal creates emotional stability as well. Without goals, progress feels uncertain. With goals, even small improvements feel meaningful. You can see movement, you can track change. This creates a sense of control. Control reduces stress. It increases confidence. It strengthens motivation. It is important to set realistic goals. Goals that are too large without structure can lead to frustration. Goals that are too small may not inspire effort. The balance lies in challenge and realism combined. A goal should stretch your ability while still remaining achievable with consistent action. This balance keeps you engaged without overwhelming you. Consistency is the key to achieving measurable goals. A single effort does not create financial transformation. Repeated actions do. Daily habits aligned with your goals create momentum. Momentum builds progress. Progress builds confidence. Confidence reinforces discipline. This cycle continues until results become visible. Another important practice is reviewing your goals regularly. Without review, goals lose clarity. Life changes. Circumstances shift. Priorities evolve. Regular review keeps your goals aligned with your current situation. It also helps you correct mistakes early. This prevents small issues from becoming larger problems. Writing goals down increases commitment. A written goal becomes a commitment to yourself. It is no longer a passing thought. It becomes a reference point. When goals are visible, they influence daily decisions. They remind you of your direction. They keep your attention aligned with what matters most. Measurable goals also improve time management. When you know what you are trying to achieve, you begin to use time more carefully. You avoid unnecessary activities. You focus on actions that produce results. Time becomes a tool rather than a distraction. This shift improves productivity significantly. Financial goals should also include short-term and long-term targets. Short-term goals create immediate motivation. Long-term goals provide direction. Together they create balance. Short-term achievements keep you engaged. Long-term vision keeps you disciplined. This combination is powerful. Another benefit of measurable goals is reduced emotional decision-making. Without goals, decisions are often based on mood. With goals, decisions are based on structure. Structure reduces impulsive behavior. It helps you stay consistent even when emotions fluctuate. Clear goals also improve problem solving. When obstacles appear, you can evaluate them in relation to your goal. Instead of feeling lost, you can adjust your approach. You begin to see challenges as part of the process rather than as failures. This mindset strengthens resilience. Setting goals also increases motivation. When progress is visible, effort feels rewarding. Even small achievements create satisfaction. This satisfaction encourages continued effort. Motivation becomes self-sustaining when progress is tracked clearly. It is also important to avoid comparing your goals with others. Each person has different circumstances. Your goals should reflect your life, your responsibilities, and your aspirations. Comparison creates unnecessary pressure. Focus on your own progress instead of external standards. Another useful practice is to assign deadlines to each goal. Deadlines create urgency. Without deadlines, goals can be postponed indefinitely. A clear time frame encourages action. It prevents procrastination. It keeps you accountable. Measurable goals also strengthen self-discipline. Every time you choose an action aligned with your goal, you reinforce discipline. Every time you ignore distraction, you strengthen focus. Over time, discipline becomes a habit. This habit supports long-term success. Financial growth becomes more predictable when guided by clear goals. Instead of hoping for improvement, you create a system for it. You know what to do, when to do it, and why it matters. This clarity reduces confusion and increases efficiency. Goals also help you evaluate success honestly. Instead of relying on feelings, you rely on results. This honesty is important for growth. It shows where you are improving and where you need adjustment. Honest evaluation leads to better decisions. Over time, goal setting becomes a mindset. You begin to approach every area of life with structure. You think in terms of outcomes. You act with intention. You measure progress. This mindset supports continuous improvement. Specific measurable goals transform wealth building into a guided process rather than a random effort. They give direction to your energy. They give structure to your discipline. They give clarity to your decisions. Without them, progress becomes uncertain. With them, progress becomes intentional. Each goal you set is a commitment to your future self. Each step you take brings you closer to stability. Each measured action strengthens your financial foundation. When goals are clear and measurable, your path becomes easier to follow and your progress becomes easier to sustain. Chapter 9. Eliminate unnecessary debt to protect freedom and reduce stress. Debt has a quiet way of shaping a person's life long before they fully notice its effect. It influences decisions. It limits choices. It creates pressure that stays in the background of daily thinking. Many people do not realize how much mental energy is consumed by unpaid obligations. Even when they are not actively thinking about debt, it affects their sense of freedom. Eliminating unnecessary debt is not only a financial action, it is a psychological release. It restores clarity and reduces internal pressure that blocks long-term growth. Debt becomes dangerous when it is used without purpose. Some forms of debt are tied to growth, such as education or essential investment in income-generating tools. But unnecessary debt is different. It is created for consumption without long-term return. It is often driven by impulse, convenience, or emotional reaction. These types of obligations do not build stability, they slowly reduce it. Each unnecessary commitment removes a portion of future income before it even arrives. When a person carries unnecessary debt, part of their future is already spoken for. This creates a feeling of restriction. Even when income increases, freedom does not fully expand because obligations expand with it. This is why some people feel stuck even after earning more. Their financial space is already occupied by past decisions. Removing unnecessary debt restores that space. It allows income to flow toward growth instead of repayment pressure. Stress caused by debt is not always loud. It often appears as quiet tension. It shows up in hesitation before spending. It appears in worry about future bills. It creates a sense of limitation even during normal days. This constant background stress reduces focus. It affects energy levels. It can even influence relationships because financial pressure often spills into emotional interactions. When unnecessary debt is removed, this pressure begins to fade and mental clarity improves. The first step toward eliminating debt is awareness. Many people avoid fully understanding their obligations because the truth feels uncomfortable. But avoidance does not reduce debt, it only delays action. Facing the numbers directly is essential. When you see exactly what you owe, you can begin to create a plan. Clarity is the foundation of control. Without clarity, progress is impossible. Once awareness is established, the next step is prioritization. Not all debts carry the same weight. Some have higher interest, some create more pressure, some are more urgent than others. Understanding this structure helps you decide where to focus first. A structured approach prevents confusion. It turns a large problem into manageable steps. Eliminating unnecessary debt requires discipline in spending behavior. If old habits continue, debt will keep returning. This is why repayment alone is not enough. The behavior that created the debt must also change. This includes reducing impulse purchases, avoiding emotional spending, and practicing patience before financial decisions. Without behavior change, debt reduction becomes temporary. A useful practice is to pause before any non-essential purchase. This pause allows emotion to settle. Many debts begin with short-term desire rather than long-term need. When you give yourself time to reflect, the urge often decreases. This simple habit can prevent future obligations from forming. It protects your financial future from impulsive decisions. Another important step is learning to distinguish between needs and wants with honesty. This distinction is often blurred in moments of desire. A need supports stability and function. A want provides temporary satisfaction. When unnecessary debt is created, it is often because wants were treated as needs. Strengthening awareness in this area reduces future financial pressure. Debt elimination also requires a shift in mindset. Instead of viewing repayment as punishment, it should be viewed as recovery. Each payment is a step toward freedom. Each reduction in balance is a reduction in stress. This perspective helps maintain motivation. Without this mindset, repayment can feel heavy and discouraging. With it, progress feels meaningful. Consistency plays a major role in removing debt. Occasional effort is not enough. Regular payments create momentum. Momentum builds progress. Progress builds motivation. Over time, the burden begins to shrink. Even small, consistent actions can lead to significant improvement when maintained over time. It is also important to avoid creating new unnecessary debt while repaying old obligations. This requires discipline and restraint. Without this control, progress becomes circular. Money goes out in one direction, while new obligations form in another. This cycle prevents real freedom. Breaking it requires commitment to living within current means. Debt reduction also improves emotional stability. When obligations decrease, mental space increases. There is less worry about unexpected expenses. There is less fear about future income fluctuations. This emotional relief improves decision-making in other areas of life. A calm mind makes better financial choices and more thoughtful long-term plans. As debt decreases, confidence naturally increases. You begin to feel more in control of your life. You are not constantly reacting to obligations. Instead, you are actively shaping your financial direction. This sense of control strengthens discipline in other habits as well. It becomes easier to save, invest, and plan for the future. Eliminating unnecessary debt also improves relationships. Financial stress often affects communication and emotional balance. When pressure is reduced, interactions become more stable. There is more space for understanding and cooperation. This improvement in emotional environment supports overall well-being. Another benefit is increased opportunity. Debt limits flexibility. When obligations are high, it becomes difficult to take advantage of new possibilities. When debt is reduced, more income becomes available for growth. This opens doors for investment in skills, savings, or business opportunities. Freedom creates options. It is important to remain patient during the process. Debt elimination is not instant. It requires time and persistence. There may be moments of slow progress. There may be challenges along the way. But steady effort produces results. Trust in the process is essential. Tracking progress can also support motivation. When you see the balance decreasing, it reinforces discipline. Visible improvement encourages continued effort. Without tracking, progress may feel invisible, which can reduce motivation. Awareness of progress is a powerful motivator. Another useful approach is to redirect money saved from reduced expenses toward debt repayment. Small lifestyle adjustments can create extra funds. These funds, when consistently applied, accelerate progress. This method helps shorten the repayment timeline. Eliminating unnecessary debt also teaches responsibility. It requires facing past decisions and correcting them with present action. This process builds maturity. It strengthens character. It develops patience and discipline that extend beyond financial matters. Freedom from debt is not only financial freedom. It is mental freedom. It reduces invisible pressure. It creates room for better thinking. It allows energy to be used for growth instead of worry. This shift has a powerful impact on overall life quality. Avoiding unnecessary debt in the future is equally important. Once freedom is restored, it must be protected. This requires awareness, discipline, and consistent decision-making. Every financial choice should be evaluated with long-term impact in mind. Short-term satisfaction should not override long-term stability. Over time, the habit of avoiding unnecessary debt becomes natural. You begin to think differently about money. You begin to prioritize stability over impulse. You begin to value peace over temporary comfort. This shift in mindset is the foundation of lasting financial strength. Eliminating unnecessary debt is a process of reclaiming control. It is about taking back ownership of your income, your decisions, and your future. Each step toward reduction is a step toward independence. Each payment is a step toward clarity. Each moment of discipline strengthens your foundation. A life without unnecessary debt is a life with more space to grow. It is a life with less pressure and more opportunity. It is a life where money supports your goals instead of limiting them. This is the result of consistent action, clear thinking, and disciplined behavior over time. Chapter 10. Strengthen decision-making through reflection and intentional planning. Every financial outcome is shaped long before money is spent or saved. It is shaped in the moment of decision. Most people focus on income or expenses, but the real foundation of wealth lies in how decisions are made. Strong decision-making does not happen by chance. It is built through reflection and intentional planning. When you improve the way you think before acting, you improve every financial result that follows. Many people make financial choices in reaction to pressure. They respond quickly to situations without fully understanding the long-term effect. A purchase feels urgent. An opportunity appears attractive. A problem creates emotional stress. In these moments, decisions are often made too quickly. Later, consequences appear that were not considered. Reflection slows this process down. It creates space between impulse and action. Reflection means reviewing your thoughts before and after decisions. Before acting, you pause and consider what the outcome will be. After acting, you examine what actually happened. This cycle builds awareness. Awareness is the foundation of improvement. Without reflection, mistakes repeat. With reflection, mistakes become lessons. Intentional planning is the structure that supports reflection. It gives direction to your choices before situations arise. Instead of reacting in the moment, you already have a clear sense of what aligns with your goals. Planning reduces confusion. It helps you act with confidence instead of uncertainty. When your mind is prepared, decisions become simpler. A strong decision-making process begins with clarity about priorities. If you do not know what matters most, every choice feels equal. This creates hesitation or impulsive behavior, but when priorities are clear, decisions become easier. You can evaluate each option based on whether it supports your direction or distracts from it. Reflection also helps you understand patterns in your behavior. You begin to notice repeated mistakes. You see situations where emotional pressure influences your choices. You recognize habits that lead to unnecessary spending or missed opportunities. Awareness of patterns is powerful because it allows change. Without awareness, behavior remains the same. Intentional planning requires thinking ahead. Instead of focusing only on today, you consider future outcomes. You ask how current actions will affect your financial stability over time. This long-term perspective reduces short-sighted decisions. It encourages patience and discipline. Planning gives structure to your future before it arrives. One effective practice is to pause before making important financial decisions. This pause does not need to be long. Even a short moment of reflection can change the outcome. During this pause, you evaluate whether the decision aligns with your goals. You consider the consequences. You check whether emotion is influencing your thinking. This simple habit reduces regret. Reflection after decisions is equally important. After a financial choice is made, you review the result. You ask whether the decision was helpful or harmful. You observe what could be improved. This creates a feedback loop. Each experience becomes a source of learning. Over time, your decision-making becomes sharper. Intentional planning also involves setting clear guidelines for yourself. These guidelines act as internal boundaries. For example, you may decide in advance how much you will spend in certain categories or how you will respond to financial opportunities. Having guidelines reduces confusion in moments of uncertainty. You already know how to act. Decision-making improves when emotions are acknowledged but not allowed to control behavior. Emotions are natural. They influence thinking in subtle ways. Reflection helps you recognize when emotions are present. Planning helps you stay aligned with your goals even when emotions are strong. This balance creates stability. Another important aspect is learning from past experiences. Every financial decision carries information. Some decisions lead to positive results. Others lead to mistakes. Reflection turns both outcomes into lessons. Instead of repeating errors, you refine your approach. Over time, this creates steady improvement. Intentional planning also helps reduce stress. When you have a plan, you do not need to constantly worry about what to do next. You already have direction. This reduces mental overload. It creates a sense of control. A structured plan allows you to move through financial situations with calm focus. Another benefit of reflection is increased self-awareness. You begin to understand your strengths and weaknesses in decision-making. You see where you are disciplined and where you are vulnerable. This awareness allows you to improve specific areas instead of guessing. Growth becomes targeted and effective. Planning also improves consistency. When decisions are guided by a plan, your actions become more stable. You are less likely to drift away from your goals. Consistency is essential for financial progress. Without it, progress becomes unpredictable. With it, results become reliable. A useful practice is to set aside regular time for reflection. This can be daily or weekly. During this time, you review your financial decisions. You think about what worked well and what did not. You consider how your choices align with your long-term goals. This habit strengthens awareness and reinforces discipline. Intentional planning also requires flexibility. Life is unpredictable. Plans may need adjustment. Reflection helps you identify when changes are necessary. Instead of abandoning structure, you refine it. This balance between structure and flexibility creates resilience. Decision-making becomes stronger when guided by clear purpose. Purpose gives meaning to your choices. It helps you stay focused during uncertainty. When you know why you are making financial decisions, it becomes easier to stay disciplined. Purpose transforms planning from obligation into direction. Another important element is reducing reactive thinking. Reactive thinking happens when decisions are made too quickly without evaluation. Reflection slows this pattern. It encourages thoughtful responses instead of immediate reactions. This shift improves financial outcomes significantly. Intentional planning also supports better use of resources. When you plan, you allocate money, time, and energy more effectively. You avoid waste. You focus on what matters. This efficiency supports long-term stability. As reflection becomes a habit, decision-making becomes more automatic in a positive way. You naturally begin to think before acting. You naturally consider consequences. You naturally align actions with goals. This transformation happens gradually through repetition. Planning also strengthens confidence. When you trust your process, you feel more secure in your decisions. You are less dependent on external opinions. You rely on your own understanding. This confidence reduces hesitation and improves clarity. Another benefit of reflection is emotional balance. When you regularly review your decisions, you become less reactive to setbacks. You understand that mistakes are part of learning. This perspective reduces frustration and builds patience. Intentional planning helps you prepare for future challenges. Instead of reacting when problems appear, you anticipate them. This preparation reduces stress and improves response quality. You are ready because you have already thought ahead. Over time, reflection and planning shape your financial identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who thinks carefully before acting. This identity influences future behavior. It creates a consistent pattern of wise decisions. Decision-making becomes a skill that improves with practice. Each reflection strengthens understanding. Each plan improves direction. Each experience adds clarity. Together, these habits create a strong foundation for financial growth. A life guided by reflection and intentional planning is more stable. It is less driven by impulse. It is more aligned with long-term goals. It creates space for thoughtful action. It reduces unnecessary mistakes. When you strengthen decision-making through reflection and planning, you take control of your financial direction. You move from reaction to intention. You move from confusion to clarity. You move from scattered choices to structured progress. This shift builds a foundation for lasting financial strength. Chapter 11. Surround yourself with people who encourage responsible growth. Your environment quietly shapes your financial behavior more than most people realize. The people you spend time with influence how you think about money, how you handle pressure, and what you believe is possible for your life. Even without direct instruction, habits and attitudes are absorbed through daily interaction. When you surround yourself with people who encourage responsible growth, your mindset begins to shift in a steady and natural way. Many financial struggles are not caused by lack of knowledge alone. They are influenced by social patterns. When the people around you normalize careless spending, impulsive decisions, or short-term thinking, those behaviors begin to feel acceptable. On the other hand, when you are surrounded by individuals who value discipline, patience, and long-term thinking, those qualities start to feel natural. Environment shapes identity through repetition. Responsible growth begins with awareness of influence. You must observe how conversations affect your thinking. Notice whether discussions encourage planning or promote unnecessary consumption. Pay attention to whether people around you talk about progress or only temporary pleasure. These small signals reveal whether your environment supports your goals or weakens them. The right environment does not pressure you into perfection. It encourages consistency. It supports effort. It values learning from mistakes instead of repeating them. People who are focused on growth tend to think in terms of improvement rather than comparison. Being around such individuals helps you shift your attention from appearance to substance. Choosing your environment is not about rejecting people. It is about being intentional with influence. Every person has different priorities and habits. Some may not focus on financial discipline, and that is their path. But your responsibility is to protect your own direction. Time and attention are limited resources. They should be spent in places that support your long-term stability. When you spend time with people who manage money wisely, you begin to observe practical behaviors. You see how they think before spending. You notice how they prioritize savings. You learn how they approach decisions calmly instead of emotionally. These observations become lessons without formal teaching. Learning becomes natural through exposure. Responsible growth is also supported by accountability. When you share your goals with people who care about progress, you become more committed. Honest conversations create gentle pressure to stay consistent. Not pressure based on fear, but pressure based on support. This type of accountability strengthens discipline over time. A strong environment also challenges your excuses. When you are around individuals who take responsibility for their actions, it becomes harder to justify avoidance or delay. Their behavior reflects possibility. Their discipline reflects effort. Their results reflect consistency. This exposure encourages you to take your own actions more seriously. It is also important to distance yourself from environments that encourage financial carelessness. This does not mean cutting off relationships harshly. It means being mindful of how much influence certain environments have on your behavior. If certain settings consistently lead to impulsive spending or poor decisions, limiting exposure can protect your long-term goals. Growth-oriented people tend to value learning. Being around them naturally increases your curiosity. You begin to ask better questions. You become more open to new ideas. You start thinking beyond immediate comfort. This intellectual shift is subtle but powerful. It improves your ability to make informed financial decisions. Another benefit of surrounding yourself with responsible individuals is emotional stability. Financial discipline requires emotional control. When your environment reinforces calm thinking, you are less likely to react impulsively. You learn to pause before acting. You develop patience through observation. The right people also encourage long-term thinking. They talk about goals, planning, and gradual improvement. This perspective helps you move away from short-term satisfaction as the main driver of decisions. Instead, you begin to think in terms of outcomes that take time to develop. This shift is essential for wealth building. It is useful to evaluate relationships based on direction rather than perfection. No one is flawless. The key question is whether a person's habits and mindset move you closer to or further from your goals. If a relationship supports growth, it becomes valuable. If it consistently leads to distraction, it requires boundaries. Being around responsible individuals also improves decision-making through observation. You begin to notice how they handle challenges. You see how they respond to setbacks without panic. You learn how they adjust plans without losing focus. These lessons are often more effective than advice because they are lived rather than explained. Environment also influences your standards. If your circle values discipline, your standards naturally rise. You begin to expect more from yourself. You become less tolerant of careless behavior. This internal shift strengthens your commitment to improvement. Another important aspect is energy. People who are focused on growth tend to bring constructive energy into conversations. They talk about solutions rather than problems. They focus on progress rather than limitation. This type of energy influences your thinking in a positive direction. Responsible growth also requires you to become a positive influence yourself. Surrounding yourself with good people is not only about receiving support. It is also about contributing. When you adopt disciplined habits, you begin to influence others in return. This creates a cycle of improvement within your environment. Financial discipline becomes easier when it is reinforced socially. When your environment supports saving, planning, and thoughtful spending, these behaviors become normalized. You no longer feel isolated in your efforts. Instead, discipline feels shared and supported. It is also important to recognize that growth-oriented environments are not always large groups. Even one or two individuals who think responsibly can have a strong impact. Quality of influence matters more than quantity. A small circle with strong values is more powerful than a large circle with conflicting habits. Another key point is consistency of exposure. Occasional interaction with responsible individuals is helpful, but regular exposure creates deeper change. Habits are shaped by repetition. The more time you spend in growth-oriented environments, the more your thinking aligns with them. Responsible growth environments also encourage reflection. Conversations often include evaluation of choices and outcomes. This reinforces the habit of thinking before acting. Reflection becomes part of normal interaction rather than a separate effort. You also begin to notice improved discipline in yourself over time. Without forcing change, your habits start adjusting naturally. You spend more carefully, you plan more intentionally, you think longer before making decisions. This gradual transformation is the result of consistent environmental influence. At the same time, it is important to maintain independence of thought. While environment has powerful, personal responsibility remains essential. You must still evaluate ideas critically and make decisions based on your own goals. The environment supports growth, but you remain the decision maker. Being surrounded by responsible individuals also reduces financial anxiety. When you see others managing challenges with calmness, you begin to feel more secure in your own journey. You realize that setbacks are manageable. You learn that progress is not linear. This perspective reduces unnecessary fear. Another benefit is motivation. Seeing others progress through discipline encourages you to stay consistent. It reminds you that effort produces results. It reinforces the belief that long-term thinking is worth it. Over time, your identity begins to shift. You start seeing yourself as someone who values growth and responsibility. This identity influences behavior more deeply than external motivation. It becomes part of how you naturally think and act. Surrounding yourself with people who encourage responsible growth is not about perfection or exclusivity. It is about alignment. It is about choosing influence that supports your financial direction. It is about creating an environment where discipline is normal and growth is expected. When your environment supports your goals, consistency becomes easier. Decisions become clearer, discipline becomes stronger, growth becomes more stable. The people around you either strengthen your direction or weaken it. Choosing wisely is part of building a life that is steady, intentional, and aligned with long-term financial success. Chapter 12. Learn basic investing principles before risking hard-earned money. Investing is not a race to multiply money quickly. It is a long process of understanding how money moves, how risk behaves, and how patience shapes outcomes over time. Many people enter investing with excitement but little understanding. They focus on potential gains while ignoring the structure behind them. This often leads to mistakes that could have been avoided with basic knowledge. Learning fundamental investing principles before risking hard-earned money is not optional. It is protection. Money earned through effort carries personal value. Every unit of income represents time, energy, and discipline. When that money is used without understanding, the risk is not only financial loss but also emotional frustration. That is why education must come before exposure. A strong foundation reduces avoidable mistakes and builds confidence in decision-making. Basic investing principles begin with understanding risk. Every investment carries some level of uncertainty. There is no option that guarantees outcome without variation. Some risks are small, some are large, but none are absent. When you understand this, you stop expecting certainty. You begin focusing on probability, preparation, and patience instead of guarantees. Another key principle is the relationship between risk and reward. Higher potential returns often come with higher uncertainty. Lower risk options usually offer slower growth. Understanding this balance helps you make informed choices. Without this awareness, people often chase high returns without recognizing the level of risk involved. This leads to disappointment when expectations do not match reality. Diversification is another essential concept. It means not placing all resources into a single opportunity. When money is spread across different areas, the impact of one failure is reduced. This principle protects stability. It prevents one mistake from causing complete setback. Diversification is not about avoiding risk entirely, but managing it wisely. Time also plays a critical role in investing. Growth is not always immediate. In many cases, time is the most important factor. Assets may fluctuate in the short term, but show strength over longer periods. Understanding this helps you avoid emotional reactions to temporary changes. Patience allows investments to develop naturally. Emotional control is one of the most important investing skills. Markets and opportunities can create excitement or fear. Without understanding, emotions can lead to poor decisions. People may sell too early or invest too quickly. Learning basic principles gives you structure to rely on when emotions become strong. Structure reduces impulsive behavior. Another important principle is learning before acting. Many people rely on advice from others without understanding the reasoning behind it. While guidance can be helpful, blind trust is risky. When you understand the basics yourself, you can evaluate advice more clearly. You become less dependent and more capable of making informed choices. It is also important to understand that investing is not gambling. Gambling relies on chance without control. Investing involves analysis, planning, and understanding of value. When people confuse the two, they take unnecessary risks. Education helps separate informed decisions from random behavior. Compounding is another fundamental principle. It refers to the process where returns generate additional returns over time. This concept highlights the importance of patience. Small, consistent growth can become significant when allowed to accumulate over long periods. Understanding compounding encourages long-term thinking instead of short-term reactions. Liquidity is also an important idea. It refers to how easily an asset can be converted into usable money. Some investments can be accessed quickly while others require time. Understanding liquidity helps you plan better. It ensures that you are not placing all your resources in areas where access may be limited when needed. Basic investing knowledge also includes understanding fees and costs. Every financial action may involve expenses. These costs reduce overall returns over time. Many beginners overlook this factor. Awareness of fees helps you evaluate the true value of an opportunity. Small costs can accumulate significantly if ignored. Learning how to evaluate opportunities is another essential skill. Not every option presented is beneficial. Some may appear attractive, but lack stability. Basic analysis helps you look beyond surface-level appeal. You begin to ask questions about structure, consistency, and long-term potential. Patience is deeply connected to investing success. Many people expect fast results and lose confidence when outcomes take time. Basic understanding helps you accept natural fluctuations. It teaches you to remain steady during uncertainty. Patience allows decisions to mature properly. Another important principle is avoiding emotional attachment to outcomes. Investing decisions should be based on logic and analysis, rather than hope or fear. Emotional attachment can distort judgment. Basic knowledge helps you stay grounded in facts instead of reactions. It is also important to understand that losses are part of the process. Not every decision will succeed. Even experienced individuals face setbacks. The goal is not to avoid every loss, but to minimize unnecessary ones through knowledge and preparation. Accepting this reality builds resilience. Risk management is another core concept. It involves deciding how much you are willing to expose in any single decision. Proper risk management protects overall stability. It ensures that one mistake does not affect your entire financial position. This principle is essential for long-term survival in any investment environment. Learning basic principles also improves confidence. When you understand how things work, uncertainty decreases. You feel more prepared to make decisions. Confidence based on knowledge is stronger than confidence based on emotion. It leads to more stable behavior. Another benefit of learning before investing is reduced stress. Uncertainty creates anxiety. Knowledge reduces uncertainty. When you understand what you are doing, you are less likely to panic during changes. This emotional stability improves decision-making. It is also important to understand that investing is a continuous learning process. Basic knowledge is only the beginning. Over time, experience builds deeper understanding. However, starting with fundamentals creates a strong foundation. Without it, learning becomes more difficult and mistakes become more frequent. Practical learning should include observation. Watching how investments behave over time helps build intuition. Studying patterns and outcomes improves awareness. This kind of learning strengthens understanding beyond theory. Another important aspect is setting realistic expectations. Investing is not a quick path to instant wealth. It is a gradual process. When expectations are aligned with reality, disappointment is reduced. This alignment helps maintain consistency. Avoiding shortcuts is also essential. Quick gain strategies often carry hidden risks. Without understanding, these risks can lead to loss. Basic knowledge helps you recognize when something is unrealistic or unstable. Building financial literacy before investing also encourages responsibility. You begin to take ownership of your decisions. You do not rely entirely on others. This independence strengthens long-term financial behavior. It is also helpful to practice with small amounts when starting. This allows you to learn without significant risk. Experience gained in this way builds understanding gradually. It creates confidence without exposure to major loss. Understanding market behavior, economic changes, and value creation also adds depth to decision-making. While advanced knowledge comes later, basic awareness helps you stay informed. It prevents confusion when conditions change. Investing should always be approached with respect for the process. It is not about rushing or guessing. It is about learning, observing, and applying knowledge carefully. When you respect the process, you reduce unnecessary risk. Learning basic investing principles before risking hard-earned money is an act of discipline. It shows maturity. It protects your efforts. It strengthens your ability to grow steadily over time. Knowledge becomes the foundation upon which all future financial decisions are built. Chapter 13. Review financial progress weekly and adjust strategies accordingly. Financial growth does not happen in a straight line. It moves through progress, stagnation, correction, and improvement. Many people fail to notice these patterns because they rarely pause to evaluate their journey. Without regular review, financial behavior becomes automatic. Decisions repeat without reflection. Mistakes continue without correction. Weekly review changes this pattern by creating structured awareness. It turns financial life into something observable, measurable, and adjustable. A weekly review is not about judgment. It is about understanding. It is a moment to step back from daily activity and observe your financial direction with clarity. When you constantly operate without reflection, you can easily lose sight of whether your actions are aligned with your goals. A weekly pause restores that alignment. It brings attention back to reality instead of assumption. Most financial confusion comes from lack of observation. People often feel they are doing well because they are busy. Activity is mistaken for progress, but movement without direction does not guarantee improvement. Weekly review helps separate effort from effectiveness. It shows whether your actions are actually leading towards stability or just creating motion without results. The process begins with looking at your income and expenses, not to create stress, but to understand flow. Money enters your life in certain ways and leaves through certain patterns. When you observe this regularly, you begin to see structure. You see consistency in spending habits. You see areas where money is used wisely, and areas where it leaks without purpose. Awareness transforms vague financial behavior into visible data. Once you understand your financial flow, the next step is evaluation. Ask whether your current habits support your long-term goals. Ask whether your savings are increasing at the rate you expect. Ask whether your spending reflects your priorities. These questions are not meant to create pressure. They are meant to create clarity. Clarity is what allows improvement. Weekly review also reveals emotional patterns. Many financial decisions are influenced by mood. Stress may increase unnecessary spending. Fatigue may reduce attention to detail. Excitement may lead to impulsive choices. When you review your week, you begin to notice these emotional influences. This awareness allows you to separate emotion from decision-making. Over time, you become more stable in your financial behavior. Adjustment is the second important part of the process. Review without adjustment is incomplete. Once you identify patterns, you must make changes. These changes do not need to be large. Small adjustments are often more effective because they are easier to maintain. For example, reducing a specific type of expense or increasing a small saving habit can gradually shift your financial direction. Adjustment also means refining your strategy. Financial plans are not fixed structures. They evolve with time and experience. What worked last month may need improvement this month. Weekly review allows you to stay flexible. It prevents stagnation. It keeps your approach aligned with current reality rather than outdated assumptions. Another benefit of weekly review is accountability. When you know you will evaluate your progress regularly, your daily decisions become more intentional. You begin to think twice before spending. You become more aware of your choices. This awareness alone can significantly improve financial discipline. Accountability strengthens consistency. Weekly reflection also builds self-awareness. You begin to understand your financial personality. You see whether you are naturally cautious or impulsive. You learn how you respond to financial pressure. This self-knowledge is powerful because it allows you to design strategies that fit your behavior rather than fight against it. Progress becomes more visible through weekly review. Instead of waiting months to see change, you observe small improvements every week. These small improvements build motivation. They show that effort is producing results. Even minor progress becomes meaningful when it is tracked consistently. Another important aspect is identifying waste. Many financial inefficiencies are not obvious in daily life. Small recurring expenses often go unnoticed. Weekly review brings these patterns into focus. Once identified, they can be reduced or eliminated. This process gradually increases financial efficiency without requiring drastic change. Weekly review also supports goal alignment. When you set financial goals, it is easy to drift away over time. Life introduces distractions. Priorities shift. Without review, this drift goes unnoticed. Weekly evaluation brings you back to your original direction. It ensures that your actions remain connected to your long-term intentions. Adjustment based on review should always be intentional, not emotional. It is important to avoid reacting impulsively to short-term results. One difficult week does not define your financial path. The purpose of review is to observe patterns over time, not to overreact to temporary changes. Stability comes from measured response, not emotional reaction. Another important benefit is improved decision-making. When you regularly evaluate your financial behavior, you begin to recognize what works and what does not. This experience strengthens judgment. Over time, you make fewer mistakes because you learn from previous actions. Each week becomes a learning cycle. Weekly review also helps reduce anxiety. Uncertainty is often the cause of stress. When you do not know where your money is going or how your progress is developing, your mind creates worry. Regular review removes this uncertainty. It replaces guesswork with clarity. A clear picture of your finances creates calmness. It is also important to keep the review process simple. Complexity can discourage consistency. A few focused questions are enough. What did I earn? What did I spend? What improved? What needs adjustment? Simplicity ensures that the habit continues without resistance. Consistency is more important than depth in the beginning. Over time, weekly review becomes a natural habit. It no longer feels like an extra task. It becomes part of your financial identity. You begin to think in cycles of improvement. Each week becomes an opportunity to refine your approach. This mindset encourages continuous growth. Another key advantage of regular review is adaptability. Financial conditions change. Income may fluctuate. Expenses may vary. Opportunities may appear. Weekly reflection allows you to respond quickly to these changes. Instead of waiting too long to adjust, you remain responsive and flexible. It also strengthens discipline. When you consistently observe your behavior, you become more responsible with your actions. You know that your decisions will be reviewed. This awareness encourages better choices throughout the week. Discipline becomes self-reinforcing. Weekly review also helps you stay connected to your goals emotionally. Long-term goals can sometimes feel distant. Regular reflection brings them back into focus. It reminds you why you are making certain sacrifices. It keeps motivation alive. Another benefit is improved planning. After reviewing your week, you can plan the next one with better understanding. You know what needs attention. You know what worked well. This makes planning more accurate and effective. Planning becomes based on reality rather than assumption. Financial improvement is not only about earning more. It is about managing better. Weekly review strengthens management. It ensures that your current resources are used wisely. It reduces waste. It increases efficiency. It supports steady progress. The habit also builds resilience. When setbacks occur, regular review helps you recover faster. You do not lose direction because you are already accustomed to evaluating and adjusting. This adaptability prevents long-term disruption. Over time, weekly review creates a cycle of continuous improvement. Observe, reflect, adjust, repeat. This cycle strengthens financial awareness and discipline. Each week becomes a step forward, even if the progress is small. The most powerful result of this habit is control. You are no longer reacting blindly to financial situations. You are actively observing and shaping them. This sense of control builds confidence. It reduces fear. It creates stability. When you review your financial progress weekly and adjust accordingly, you transform your financial life into a structured system of awareness and growth. You replace confusion with clarity, reaction with intention, and randomness with direction. This consistent practice becomes the foundation of long-term financial strength and stability. Chapter 14. Adopt consistent learning habits to stay informed about opportunities. Financial opportunities do not remain static. They shift with time, technology, industries, and human behavior. What is valuable today may change tomorrow. Those who continue learning remain aware of these shifts. Those who stop learning slowly lose awareness of what is possible. Consistent learning habits ensure that your mind stays updated, flexible, and prepared for new opportunities that emerge in changing conditions. Learning is not only about formal education. It is about staying connected to information that influences financial growth. This includes understanding economic trends, observing changes in industries, and recognizing patterns in how people create value. When learning becomes a habit, awareness expands naturally. You begin to notice opportunities that others overlook, simply because your attention is trained to observe more deeply. Many people assume that opportunities are rare. In reality, opportunities are often present, but they are invisible to those who are not informed. Lack of knowledge creates limitation. Awareness creates access. Consistent learning removes mental barriers that prevent recognition of possibility. It sharpens perception and improves judgment. A learning habit begins with regular exposure to useful information. This does not require overwhelming effort. Even small daily learning sessions can gradually build strong awareness. The key is consistency. When learning is repeated regularly, it becomes part of thinking. Over time, your perspective naturally expands without forcing change. One of the most important aspects of continuous learning is curiosity. Curiosity encourages questions. Questions lead to understanding. Understanding leads to better decisions. When you remain curious, you do not accept things at surface level. You explore deeper meaning. This habit helps you recognize opportunities that require insight rather than obvious visibility. Consistent learning also improves adaptability. The world changes quickly, and financial environments evolve with it. New tools, new systems, and new methods appear regularly. Without learning, it becomes difficult to keep up. With learning, you remain flexible. You can adjust your thinking and respond to change with confidence instead of confusion. Another benefit of learning habits is improved decision-making. When you are informed, your choices are based on understanding rather than assumption. You can evaluate situations more accurately. You can recognize risks more clearly. You can identify value more effectively. Knowledge strengthens judgment. Learning also helps reduce fear of uncertainty. Many people avoid opportunities because they do not understand them. Lack of knowledge creates hesitation. When you learn consistently, unfamiliar situations become less intimidating. You begin to see structure instead of chaos. This reduces hesitation and increases willingness to explore. It is also important to learn from multiple sources. Relying on one perspective limits understanding. Exposure to different viewpoints helps you build a more complete picture. This does not mean accepting everything you hear, but evaluating it carefully. Diverse learning improves critical thinking and prevents narrow judgment. Another important part of learning is applying what you learn. Information without application remains incomplete. When knowledge is applied, it becomes experience. Experience strengthens understanding. Over time, this cycle of learning and application builds practical intelligence. This intelligence helps you recognize opportunities more effectively. Consistent learning also improves awareness of financial behavior in society. You begin to understand how people spend, save, and invest. You notice patterns in demand and supply. You observe how industries respond to change. This awareness helps you anticipate opportunities before they become widely recognized. A strong learning habit also improves confidence. When you understand more, you feel more capable of handling uncertainty. Confidence based on knowledge is stable. It does not depend on external validation. It grows from understanding and experience. Learning also strengthens patience. As your knowledge increases, you begin to understand that meaningful opportunities take time to develop. This reduces impulsive behavior. You become more thoughtful in your decisions. You are less likely to rush into actions without evaluation. Another benefit of consistent learning is improved creativity. Exposure to new ideas expands thinking patterns. You begin to connect concepts in different ways. Creativity allows you to see opportunities that are not immediately obvious. It helps you think beyond traditional paths. Learning habits also support long-term growth. Short-term thinking often limits potential. Continuous learning encourages long-term perspective. You begin to see growth as a gradual process rather than a quick achievement. This mindset supports sustainable progress. It is also helpful to learn from experience. Every financial decision, whether successful or not, contains information. When you reflect on outcomes, you gain insight. This reflection turns experience into knowledge. Combined with external learning, it creates a strong foundation for improvement. Another important aspect is staying updated with change. Industries evolve, technology advances, economic conditions shift. Without learning, it becomes easy to fall behind. Consistent learning ensures that you remain aware of relevant changes that could influence opportunities. Learning also improves communication. As knowledge increases, you become better at expressing ideas clearly. You understand concepts more deeply, which allows you to explain them simply. Clear communication helps in recognizing and acting on opportunities effectively. A learning mindset also encourages humility. When you understand that there is always more to learn, you remain open to growth. This openness prevents stagnation. It keeps your mind active and engaged with new information. Consistent learning also builds resilience. When challenges arise, knowledge helps you respond effectively. Instead of feeling lost, you can draw on what you have learned. This ability reduces stress and increases stability during uncertain situations. Another important benefit is improved observation skills. Learning trains your mind to notice details. You begin to see patterns in behavior, trends in markets, and shifts in demand. Observation is essential for recognizing opportunities early. Learning habits also create momentum. Each new piece of knowledge builds on previous understanding. Over time, this accumulation creates depth. You begin to see connections between different areas of knowledge. This depth improves decision-making and opportunity recognition. It is also important to remain consistent rather than intense. Learning does not need to be overwhelming. Small, regular effort is more effective than occasional large effort. Consistency builds retention and understanding. It turns learning into a natural habit. Another key point is avoiding passive consumption. Learning should be intentional. It should focus on useful knowledge that contributes to growth. Being selective with information ensures that learning remains valuable and focused. Consistent learning also increases independence. When you rely on your own knowledge, you depend less on external opinions. This independence allows you to evaluate opportunities on your own terms. It strengthens confidence in decision-making. Over time, learning becomes part of identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who is always growing. This identity influences behavior. You naturally seek information. You naturally observe changes. You naturally stay informed. Learning also enhances foresight. With knowledge and experience, you begin to anticipate changes before they fully happen. This foresight allows you to prepare in advance. Preparation increases advantage. Another benefit is reduced regret. When decisions are based on informed understanding, mistakes are fewer. Even when outcomes are not perfect, you understand the reasoning behind your actions. This reduces uncertainty and regret. Consistent learning also improves adaptability in financial environments. When conditions change, you are able to adjust quickly because you understand underlying principles. This adaptability is essential for long-term stability. Opportunities often appear in unexpected forms. Without knowledge, they may go unnoticed. With continuous learning, your awareness expands. You begin to recognize potential where others see ordinary situations. In the long term, consistent learning creates a strong foundation for financial awareness. It supports better decisions, clearer thinking, and improved judgment. It keeps you aligned with change and open to growth. Adopting consistent learning habits is not about collecting information endlessly. It is about developing awareness, understanding, and adaptability. It is about staying connected to the world in a way that allows you to recognize opportunity when it appears. This habit becomes a powerful tool for long-term financial growth and continuous improvement. Chapter 15. Increase income streams to build stability and reduce dependence. Financial stability becomes stronger when it is not dependent on a single source. Relying on one stream of income creates vulnerability. If that single source changes or disappears, everything else is affected. Increasing income streams is not only about earning more money. It is about building protection, flexibility, and independence. It creates a structure where your financial life does not collapse under pressure from one direction. Many people grow up with the idea that one job or one source of income is enough. While it may provide temporary stability, it does not always provide long-term security. Economic conditions change. Industries shift. Job roles evolve. When income is tied to only one source, these changes can create uncertainty. Multiple income streams reduce this risk by spreading dependence across different areas. The foundation of building additional income begins with understanding your current skills and resources. Every person has abilities that can be developed or applied in different ways. These skills can often be extended beyond their original use. When you start viewing your abilities as flexible tools rather than fixed roles, new possibilities begin to appear. This mindset shift is the first step toward expansion. Increasing income streams does not always require starting something entirely new. Sometimes it begins with expanding what already exists. A skill used in one setting may have value in another. Knowledge gained in one area may solve problems elsewhere. Recognizing this transfer of value allows you to create additional sources of income without losing focus on your main responsibility. Diversification of income also builds emotional stability. When your financial life depends on one source, stress increases during uncertainty. Even small disruptions can create fear. When income comes from multiple directions, pressure is reduced. If one stream slows down, others continue to support stability. This balance creates a calmer mindset and improves decision-making. Another important aspect is gradual expansion. Building multiple income streams does not require immediate transformation. It requires steady development. Adding one stream at a time allows you to maintain quality and control. It prevents overwhelm and increases the chance of long-term success. Slow and steady growth is more sustainable than rushed expansion. It is also important to understand that not all income streams are equal. Some require active effort, others generate more passive returns over time. Active income requires continuous time and energy. Passive or semi-passive income requires initial effort followed by maintenance. A balanced combination of both creates stronger stability. This balance ensures that income continues even when activity slows. Time management becomes essential when increasing income streams. Each additional source requires attention. Without structure, too many commitments can create imbalance. Effective planning ensures that each income stream receives appropriate focus without affecting others. Discipline in time allocation protects overall productivity. Another key factor is learning to prioritize scalable opportunities. Some income sources have limited growth potential. Others can expand over time. Identifying scalable opportunities allows you to invest effort where returns can increase. This strategic approach ensures that your energy contributes to long-term growth rather than short-term gain alone. Increasing income streams also improves adaptability. When you are involved in different areas of earning, you become more aware of how value is created in various systems. This awareness helps you adjust more easily when conditions change. Flexibility becomes a natural outcome of diversification. Financial independence grows stronger when dependence on a single source decreases. Dependence creates limitation. Independence creates choice. When multiple income streams are active, you are not forced to rely entirely on one system. This freedom allows you to make decisions based on opportunity rather than necessity. Another benefit of multiple income streams is skill development. Each new source often requires learning something new. This learning increases your ability to adapt and grow. Over time, your overall skill set expands. A wider skill set leads to more opportunities and stronger financial resilience. It is also important to start with clarity of purpose. Not every opportunity should be pursued. Income streams should align with your strengths, interests, and long-term goals. Random expansion without direction can create confusion. Focused expansion creates structure and efficiency. Risk management is another important element. Relying on a single income source concentrates risk. Diversification spreads risk across different areas. If one area underperforms, others can compensate. This balance reduces financial instability and creates a more secure foundation. Building additional income streams also requires patience. Many people expect immediate results and become discouraged when growth is slow. However, most meaningful income structures take time to develop. Consistency and persistence are more important than speed. Gradual improvement leads to lasting results. Another important principle is reinvestment. Income generated from one stream can be used to support the development of another. This creates a cycle of growth. Instead of only consuming earnings, part of them is directed toward expansion. This approach accelerates long-term progress. It is also important to avoid spreading yourself too thin. While multiple income streams are beneficial, overextension can reduce effectiveness. Each stream requires attention and care. Managing a realistic number of sources ensures quality and sustainability. Increasing income streams also strengthens confidence. When you know that your financial stability does not depend on one source, you feel more secure. This confidence reduces fear and encourages better decision-making. You are more willing to explore opportunities because your foundation is stronger. Another benefit is improved problem-solving ability. Different income streams expose you to different challenges. Each challenge teaches you something new. Over time, this builds a more versatile mindset. You become better at finding solutions in various situations. Financial growth becomes more stable when income is diversified. Instead of sharp fluctuations, income becomes more balanced. This balance supports long-term planning. It allows you to make decisions with greater certainty. It is also important to evaluate performance regularly. Not all income streams will remain effective forever. Some may need adjustment or replacement over time. Regular review ensures that your efforts remain aligned with results. This prevents wasted energy. Increasing income streams also improves resilience during unexpected events. Life is unpredictable. Economic changes or personal situations can affect income. Multiple sources provide backup support. This reduces vulnerability and increases recovery speed. Another important aspect is mindset shift. Instead of thinking in terms of one job or one income source, you begin to think in systems. You start seeing how different parts of your financial life can work together. This systems thinking improves strategic decision-making. Over time, building multiple income streams becomes a habit of thinking rather than a single action. You naturally look for ways to expand value. You begin to see opportunities in everyday activities. This awareness strengthens financial creativity. It is also important to remain ethical and responsible in all income activities. Stability built on unstable or harmful practices does not last. Sustainable income comes from providing real value. When your income is based on value creation, it becomes more reliable. Increasing income streams is ultimately about creating freedom. Freedom to choose how you spend your time. Freedom to handle uncertainty without panic. Freedom to grow without limitation from a single source. This freedom is built through consistent effort, learning, and disciplined expansion. A financial life supported by multiple income streams is more stable, more flexible, and more resilient. It reduces dependence, strengthens confidence, and creates long-term security. Each additional stream adds another layer of protection and opportunity, building a stronger foundation for the future. Chapter 16. Practice gratitude daily to maintain balanced relationship with money. A healthy relationship with money is not only built through earning, saving, or investing. It is also shaped by mindset and emotional balance. Many people focus entirely on financial strategies, but ignore the internal state that guides those decisions. Without balance, money can become a source of stress, anxiety, or dissatisfaction. Practicing gratitude daily creates that balance. It helps you stay grounded, focused, and emotionally stable in your financial journey. Gratitude begins with awareness of what already exists in your life. Instead of focusing only on what is missing, you acknowledge what is already working. This shift in attention changes how you experience money. Even when financial goals are still in progress, gratitude helps you recognize current stability. This does not reduce ambition. It strengthens emotional clarity so that ambition does not turn into frustration. Many people develop a restless relationship with money because they constantly compare their situation with others. This comparison creates dissatisfaction even when progress is being made. Gratitude interrupts this cycle. It brings attention back to your own journey. When you focus on your own progress, you begin to see improvement that was previously ignored. This creates a more balanced emotional state. Practicing gratitude daily does not mean ignoring financial challenges. It means acknowledging both progress and difficulty at the same time. You can be aware of goals you are still working toward while still appreciating what has already been achieved. This dual awareness creates emotional stability. It prevents extreme reactions, such as frustration during setbacks or overconfidence during success. A balanced relationship with money requires emotional control. Without gratitude, money can easily become a source of pressure. People may feel that they never have enough, regardless of how much they earn. This mindset creates constant dissatisfaction. Gratitude helps shift focus from scarcity to sufficiency. Even small financial improvements begin to feel meaningful when recognized consistently. Daily gratitude also improves decision-making. When your mind is calm and stable, you make more thoughtful choices. Emotional imbalance often leads to impulsive spending or unnecessary financial stress. Gratitude reduces emotional pressure. It creates a more centered mental state where decisions are made with clarity rather than reaction. Another important effect of gratitude is reduced anxiety about the future. Financial uncertainty is a natural part of life, but constant worry about it can affect mental health. Gratitude helps anchor your attention in the present moment. When you appreciate what you currently have, fear about the future becomes less overwhelming. This does not eliminate planning, but it reduces emotional tension around it. Practicing gratitude also strengthens discipline. When you recognize the value of what you already have, you become more careful with how you use it. Wasteful behavior decreases naturally because you begin to respect resources more deeply. This respect leads to better financial habits over time. It is also important to understand that gratitude does not reduce ambition. Some people mistakenly believe that being grateful means being satisfied with less progress. In reality, gratitude and ambition can exist together. Gratitude stabilizes your present state, while ambition guides your future direction. One keeps you grounded, the other keeps you moving forward. A daily gratitude practice can be simple. It does not require complexity, it only requires attention. A few moments of reflection on what is going well financially, what has improved, or what opportunities are available can shift perspective. Consistency is more important than intensity. Small daily practice creates long-term change in mindset. Gratitude also improves patience. Financial growth often takes time. Without patience, people become frustrated when results are slow. Gratitude helps you recognize progress, even when it is gradual. This recognition makes the journey feel more meaningful. It reduces the urge to rush outcomes. Another benefit of gratitude is improved emotional resilience. Financial setbacks can feel heavy when viewed only through loss. However, when gratitude is present, you are able to see what remains stable, even during challenges. This balanced perspective helps you recover faster and maintain focus. Practicing gratitude also changes how you view success. Instead of measuring success only by large achievements, you begin to appreciate smaller milestones. This creates continuous motivation. Every step forward feels meaningful rather than only the final outcome. A balanced relationship with money also involves reducing emotional attachment to financial stress. Gratitude helps create distance between your identity and your financial situation. You are not defined solely by your income or expenses. You are a person experiencing growth. This separation reduces pressure and increases clarity. Another important aspect is awareness of non-financial value. Gratitude helps you recognize that stability is not only measured in money. Time, relationships, skills, and health also contribute to overall well-being. This broader awareness reduces overemphasis on financial pressure alone. Gratitude also encourages mindful spending. When you appreciate what you already own, you become less driven by impulse purchases. You begin to ask whether a new expense truly adds value or simply satisfies temporary desire. This mindfulness leads to better financial discipline. It is also important to recognize that gratitude improves long-term satisfaction. People often assume that earning more money automatically creates happiness. However, without emotional balance, dissatisfaction can still remain. Gratitude ensures that satisfaction grows alongside progress rather than waiting for future milestones. Another effect of gratitude is improved focus. When the mind is not overwhelmed by dissatisfaction, it can concentrate better on goals. This focus supports productivity and financial decision-making. A clear mind is more effective than a distracted one. Gratitude also strengthens consistency. When you appreciate your progress, you are more likely to continue your efforts. Motivation becomes stable rather than dependent on external results. This consistency is essential for long-term financial growth. A daily gratitude practice can also improve relationships with money management itself. Instead of seeing financial responsibility as a burden, you begin to see it as part of maintaining stability. This shift reduces resistance to budgeting, saving, and planning. Another important benefit is reduced comparison. When gratitude is practiced regularly, the tendency to compare your situation with others decreases. You begin to focus more on your own path. This reduces unnecessary emotional pressure and supports mental clarity. Over time, gratitude reshapes your financial mindset. You begin to approach money with calm awareness rather than emotional urgency. Decisions become more balanced. Reactions become more controlled. This shift creates long-lasting stability. Gratitude also supports long-term perspective. Instead of focusing only on immediate lack or gain, you begin to see your financial journey as a process. This perspective reduces frustration and increases patience. You understand that growth happens gradually. A balanced relationship with money is built on emotional stability, awareness, and discipline. Gratitude strengthens all three. It keeps your mind steady during challenges, aware during progress, and disciplined during decisions. Practicing gratitude daily does not change external circumstances instantly. Instead, it changes how you experience those circumstances. Over time, this shift creates a healthier, more stable, and more peaceful relationship with money. When gratitude becomes part of your daily thinking, money is no longer a source of constant pressure. It becomes a tool that you manage with clarity and respect. This balanced mindset supports both financial growth and emotional well-being, creating a stronger foundation for long-term stability. Chapter 17. Take calculated risks that expand experience and financial potential. Financial growth is never built through complete avoidance of risk. At the same time, it is never built through reckless decisions. Real progress exists in the balance between caution and courage. Taking calculated risks means moving forward with awareness, preparation, and understanding rather than impulse or fear. It is a disciplined approach to uncertainty that allows experience and financial potential to expand over time. Many people avoid risk entirely because they associate it with loss. This mindset creates safety, but it also creates limitation. When you avoid all risk, you also avoid opportunity. Growth requires movement into unfamiliar situations. Without this movement, experience remains limited and financial potential stays capped at a lower level. Avoidance may feel comfortable in the short term, but it restricts long-term development. On the other side, some people take risks without preparation. They act quickly without understanding consequences. This leads to unstable outcomes and unnecessary setbacks. Reckless behavior is not the same as courage. True calculated risk is based on awareness, evaluation, and intention. It is not driven by emotion but by informed judgment. A calculated risk begins with understanding what is at stake. Before making any decision, you must clearly identify what can be gained and what can be lost. This clarity reduces uncertainty. When you know both sides of the outcome, your decision becomes more grounded. You are no longer guessing, you are evaluating. Experience plays a key role in this process. The more you learn from past decisions, the better you become at identifying which risks are worth taking. Experience teaches patterns. It shows you what tends to work and what tends to fail. Over time, this knowledge helps you make more accurate decisions with less hesitation. Calculated risk also requires preparation. Preparation reduces unnecessary exposure. It allows you to enter opportunities with structure rather than confusion. When you are prepared, even uncertain situations become manageable. Preparation transforms risk from something chaotic into something controlled. Another important aspect is emotional discipline. Fear often prevents people from taking beneficial risks. At the same time, excitement can push people into unsafe decisions. Emotional balance ensures that neither fear nor excitement dominates your thinking. Instead, decisions are made with clarity and stability. Taking calculated risks also expands experience. Every new situation teaches something valuable. Even when outcomes are not perfect, lessons are gained. These lessons strengthen future decision-making. Without exposure to new situations, learning becomes limited. Growth requires interaction with uncertainty. Financial potential also increases through well-managed risk. Many opportunities for income expansion exist outside comfort zones. These opportunities may require new skills, new environments, or new approaches. Without willingness to take calculated risks, these opportunities remain unexplored. Controlled risk opens doors that safe routines cannot access. It is also important to understand that not all risks need to be large. Small calculated risks can build confidence and experience gradually. Starting with smaller decisions allows you to develop judgment without overwhelming exposure. Over time, these smaller experiences prepare you for larger opportunities. Risk evaluation should always include timing. The same decision can have different outcomes depending on when it is made. Understanding timing helps reduce unnecessary exposure. Acting too early or too late can both affect results. Awareness of timing improves precision in decision-making. Another key factor is resource management. Before taking any risk, you must understand how much you can afford to lose without affecting your stability. Calculated risk never threatens your entire foundation. It is always measured within safe limits. This ensures that even if outcomes are not favorable, your overall financial position remains stable. Calculated risk also encourages adaptability. When you engage with uncertainty, you learn how to adjust your approach. Not everything goes as planned. Being able to adapt during changing conditions is a valuable skill. It strengthens resilience and improves future outcomes. Another important benefit is confidence building. Each time you take a well-considered risk and handle the outcome, your confidence grows. You begin to trust your ability to evaluate situations. This confidence is not based on luck, but on experience and reasoning. It becomes stronger with each informed decision. Calculated risk also improves problem-solving ability. When you step into uncertain situations, you are required to think critically. You learn how to respond to challenges in real time. This sharpens your thinking and improves decision-making in other areas of life as well. It is also important to distinguish between opportunity and distraction. Not every risk leads to growth. Some situations appear attractive, but do not contribute to long-term progress. Calculated risk involves filtering opportunities carefully. It requires asking whether the potential outcome aligns with your financial direction. Another essential element is patience after taking action. Once a calculated risk is made, results may take time to appear. Immediate outcomes are not always visible. Patience allows the process to develop naturally without unnecessary interference. Constant reaction can disrupt progress. Calculated risk also builds independence. When you learn to evaluate and decide on your own, you become less dependent on external opinions. While advice can be helpful, final judgment comes from your own understanding. This independence strengthens long-term financial control. Another important aspect is learning from both success and failure. Positive outcomes reinforce effective strategies. Negative outcomes provide insight into areas that need adjustment. Both are valuable. Over time, this cycle of action and reflection improves decision-making. Taking calculated risks also helps break limitation thinking. Many limitations exist only in perception. When you step into controlled uncertainty and succeed, you begin to expand your understanding of what is possible. This expansion of mindset plays a major role in financial growth. It is also important to avoid repeating the same mistakes. Calculated risk is not about random experimentation. It is about learning, adjusting, and improving with each decision. Repetition of poor decisions without reflection leads to stagnation. Reflection ensures continuous improvement. Another benefit of calculated risk is increased opportunity awareness. When you are open to uncertainty, you begin to notice possibilities that others ignore. You become more observant of changes in your environment. This awareness helps you act earlier on valuable opportunities. Financial resilience is also strengthened through calculated risk. When you experience controlled challenges and recover from them, you become more stable emotionally and financially. You learn that uncertainty is manageable. This reduces fear and increases confidence in future decisions. Calculated risk requires balance. Too much caution leads to stagnation. Too much risk leads to instability. Balance ensures steady progress. This balance is developed through experience, reflection, and awareness. Over time, calculated risk becomes a skill rather than a decision. You begin to instinctively evaluate situations with clarity. You recognize patterns faster. You respond with more confidence. This skill improves continuously with practice. Expanding financial potential requires stepping beyond familiar boundaries. Growth does not happen in complete safety. It happens in structured uncertainty, where learning and opportunity exist together. Calculated risk provides that structure. When you take informed and measured risks, you do not abandon stability. You strengthen it. Each well-considered decision builds experience. Each experience builds confidence. Each confidence builds future opportunity. A life guided by calculated risk is not careless. It is intentional. It is aware. It is disciplined. It is focused on growth while respecting stability. This approach allows both experience and financial potential to expand in a controlled and sustainable way. Chapter 18. Protect time and energy for focused wealth-building actions. Wealth building is not only about money. It is about how you use your time and energy every day. These two resources are limited. Once they are spent, they cannot be recovered. Many people focus only on financial strategies while ignoring how their time and energy are distributed. Without protection of these resources, progress becomes slow and inconsistent. Protecting time and energy for focused wealth-building actions is a discipline that determines long-term outcomes. Time is the foundation of every financial activity. Every decision, every opportunity, and every action requires time to execute. When time is scattered across unnecessary activities, focus becomes weak. Weak focus leads to weak results. On the other hand, when time is directed intentionally toward meaningful actions, progress becomes visible and steady. Energy is equally important. It is not enough to have time available if energy is low or divided. Mental fatigue reduces clarity. Emotional exhaustion reduces motivation. Physical tiredness reduces execution. Wealth building requires a clear and active mind. Without energy, even good plans remain unexecuted. Protecting energy ensures that your actions are not only planned, but also performed with strength. Many people lose time without realizing it. Small distractions accumulate throughout the day. Unplanned activities slowly consume hours that could have been used for growth. These distractions often feel harmless in the moment, but over time they create significant loss of productivity. Awareness of how time is spent is the first step toward protection. Energy is also lost through emotional overload. Stress, unnecessary arguments, and constant exposure to unproductive environments drain mental strength. When energy is depleted, even simple financial tasks feel difficult. Protecting energy requires awareness of what influences your mental state and making intentional choices about where attention is directed. Focused wealth building requires prioritization. Not every activity deserves equal attention. Some actions directly contribute to financial progress. Others provide temporary satisfaction, but no long-term value. Learning to distinguish between the two is essential. When priorities are clear, time and energy naturally move toward meaningful work. A structured daily routine helps protect both time and energy. Without structure, the day becomes reactive. Reactive living leads to scattered effort. Structure creates direction. It ensures that important tasks are completed before distractions take over. A consistent routine builds discipline and reduces decision fatigue. Another important aspect is eliminating unnecessary commitments. Many people overload their schedules with tasks that do not contribute to growth. These commitments reduce available time for focused actions. Protecting time means learning to say no to activities that do not align with your goals. This requires clarity and confidence. Energy protection also involves managing attention. Attention is directly connected to productivity. When attention is divided across multiple distractions, efficiency decreases. Focused attention increases output quality. Protecting attention means avoiding constant interruptions and creating periods of deep concentration. Focus wealth-building actions require uninterrupted time. Short fragmented periods reduce effectiveness. Deep focus sessions allow better thinking, better planning, and better execution. Creating blocks of uninterrupted time helps improve quality of work and reduces wasted effort. Rest also plays a role in energy protection. Many people underestimate the importance of recovery. Without rest, energy gradually declines. Fatigue reduces decision-making ability. Proper rest restores mental clarity and physical strength. Balanced rest supports consistent performance. Another important factor is mental clarity. Cluttered thinking reduces productivity. When your mind is filled with unnecessary concerns, focus becomes weak. Clearing mental clutter through planning and reflection helps preserve energy for important tasks. A clear mind performs better under pressure. Protecting time also means being aware of low-value activities. Activities that do not contribute to financial or personal growth should be minimized. This does not mean eliminating all relaxation, but ensuring that relaxation does not replace productive effort. Balance is important, but direction is essential. Energy management also involves emotional awareness. Emotional reactions can consume large amounts of energy. Learning to remain calm during challenges helps preserve mental strength. Emotional stability supports better decision-making and sustained effort. Another key element is consistency. Protecting time and energy is not a one-time action. It is a daily practice. Each day presents new choices about how resources are used. Consistency in protecting these resources leads to long-term improvement. Discipline is the foundation of this protection. Without discipline, time and energy are easily lost to distraction and impulse. Discipline ensures that actions align with priorities even when motivation is low. It creates stability in behavior. Another important practice is planning the day in advance. When the day is structured before it begins, there is less room for confusion. Planning helps allocate time effectively and ensures that energy is directed toward meaningful actions. Without planning, time often gets consumed reactively. Protecting energy also involves managing input. What you consume mentally affects how you perform. Constant exposure to unnecessary information or negativity reduces mental strength. Selecting useful and meaningful input helps maintain clarity and focus. Time protection requires awareness of urgency versus importance. Not everything urgent is important. Not everything important feels urgent. Learning to focus on important actions, even when they are not urgent, ensures long-term progress. This shift in thinking improves results significantly. Another benefit of protecting time and energy is increased productivity. When both resources are used intentionally, output improves. More meaningful work is completed in less time. Efficiency increases without additional effort. Focused wealth building also requires elimination of multitasking. Switching between tasks reduces concentration and slows progress. Single-focused effort produces better results. Concentration allows deeper thinking and higher quality execution. Energy protection also involves avoiding unnecessary conflict. Emotional conflicts drain mental strength and reduce focus. Choosing peace over unnecessary engagement preserves energy for productive activities. Another important aspect is setting boundaries. Boundaries define how your time and energy are used. Without boundaries, external demands can take over your schedule. Clear boundaries ensure that your priorities remain protected. Over time, protecting time and energy becomes a habit. It becomes part of how you naturally operate. You begin to recognize what deserves attention and what does not. This awareness improves decision-making. Focused wealth building requires intention. Every action should move you closer to your goals. When time and energy are aligned with intention, progress becomes consistent and measurable. Another benefit of protecting these resources is reduced stress. When time is organized and energy is preserved, life feels more controlled. There is less pressure and more clarity. This stability supports better long-term performance. Protecting time and energy also strengthens confidence. When you consistently complete meaningful tasks, you see progress. This progress builds belief in your ability to achieve goals. Confidence grows through consistent action. A life focused on wealth building requires discipline in how resources are used. Time and energy are the most valuable tools available. When they are protected and directed intentionally, financial growth becomes more achievable and sustainable. Protecting time and energy is not about restriction. It is about direction. It ensures that your effort is not wasted on distractions, but invested in actions that build your future. This discipline creates a strong foundation for long-term financial success. Chapter 19. Commit to long-term consistency instead of chasing quick results. Financial growth is often misunderstood as a fast process. Many people enter the journey expecting quick results, immediate success, or rapid transformation. When results do not appear quickly, frustration builds and effort decreases. This mindset leads to inconsistency, and inconsistency leads to failure. True financial progress is built through long-term consistency, not short-term intensity. Quick results are attractive because they create the illusion of fast change. They promise transformation without patience. However, most quick outcomes are unstable. They do not last because they are not supported by strong foundations. When people chase fast results, they often skip essential steps such as learning, planning, and discipline. Without these foundations, progress collapses under pressure. Long-term consistency works differently. It focuses on small actions repeated over time. These actions may seem simple in the beginning, but their impact grows steadily. Each consistent effort builds on the previous one. Over time, this creates strong and stable progress. Unlike quick results, consistent effort creates lasting change. One of the main reasons people struggle with consistency is impatience. The desire to see immediate success creates pressure. When results are not visible quickly, motivation decreases. This leads to abandonment of effort. Understanding that real growth takes time helps reduce this pressure. Patience allows consistency to continue even when progress feels slow. Consistency requires discipline more than motivation. Motivation fluctuates. It comes and goes based on emotions and circumstances. Discipline remains stable regardless of mood. When you commit to long-term consistency, you rely less on emotional energy and more on structured action. This creates stability in behavior. Another important aspect is expectation management. Unrealistic expectations often lead to disappointment. When people expect fast financial growth, they become discouraged when reality does not match expectation. Adjusting expectations to align with gradual progress helps maintain motivation over time. Long-term consistency also builds skill. Every repeated action improves understanding. Mistakes become learning opportunities. Over time, performance improves naturally. This improvement is not sudden but steady. It becomes stronger with repetition. Chasing quick results often leads to frequent changes in direction. People switch strategies too quickly when they do not see immediate success. This prevents mastery. Consistency, on the other hand, allows time for refinement. It gives space to improve and adjust without abandoning the process. Another benefit of consistency is compound growth. Small improvements may seem insignificant in isolation. However, when repeated over long periods, they accumulate into significant progress. This compounding effect is only possible when effort remains steady over time. Emotional stability is also strengthened through consistency. When you are not constantly chasing fast outcomes, your mind becomes calmer. You begin to focus on process instead of outcome. This reduces stress and increases clarity in decision-making. Long-term consistency also builds identity. When you repeatedly act in a disciplined way, those actions become part of who you are. You begin to see yourself as someone who is committed and reliable. This identity reinforces future behavior and strengthens discipline further. Chasing quick results often leads to burnout. Intense short bursts of effort cannot be maintained for long periods. After initial excitement fades, energy drops. Consistency avoids this pattern by maintaining steady effort. It prevents exhaustion and supports sustainability. Another important factor is resilience. When results are slow, consistent individuals continue working despite uncertainty. This resilience is what separates long-term success from short-term failure. It allows progress to continue even during difficult phases. Financial growth requires time for systems to develop. Income streams, savings habits, and investment strategies all need time to mature. Quick results rarely allow these systems to stabilize. Consistency gives these systems the time they need to become effective. Another key element is trust in the process. When you commit to consistency, you begin to trust that effort will eventually lead to results. This trust reduces anxiety and increases patience. It allows you to continue working even without immediate rewards. Consistency also improves focus. Instead of constantly searching for new methods, you refine existing ones. This focus increases efficiency and reduces confusion. Over time, this leads to better results with less wasted effort. Chasing quick results often creates instability in financial behavior. People take unnecessary risks in search of fast gains. These risks can lead to setbacks. Consistency encourages measured actions that are based on planning rather than impulse. Another benefit of consistency is measurable progress. When actions are repeated over time, improvement becomes visible. Even small changes can be tracked and evaluated. This visibility helps maintain motivation and direction. Long-term consistency also strengthens habits. Repeated behavior becomes automatic. Once habits are formed, effort becomes easier. Actions require less mental resistance. This reduces dependence on motivation and increases stability. It is also important to understand that progress is not always linear. There will be periods of slow growth. There may also be periods of rapid improvement. Consistency ensures that you continue working through all phases without stopping. This persistence is what leads to long-term success. Another important aspect is learning to value process over outcome. When focus is only on results, disappointment is common. When focus is on process, every step becomes meaningful. This shift in perspective supports long-term commitment. consistency also improves decision-making. When you are not rushed by the desire for quick results, you make better choices. You evaluate situations more carefully. You reduce impulsive behavior and increase thoughtful action. Another benefit is reduced comparison. People chasing quick results often compare their progress with others. This creates frustration. Consistent individuals focus on their own path. They measure progress based on personal growth rather than external timelines. Long-term consistency also builds patience naturally. As you continue working over time, you become more comfortable with gradual progress. This patience becomes a strength that supports other areas of life as well. Another important factor is sustainability. Effort that is consistent can be maintained for years. Effort that is intense but short-lived cannot. Sustainability is essential for long-term financial growth. Chasing quick results often leads to frustration cycles. High expectations followed by low outcomes create emotional instability. Consistency breaks this cycle by creating steady and predictable progress. Another key point is adaptability. When you remain consistent, you have time to adjust your approach based on experience. This gradual improvement leads to better outcomes than sudden changes in direction. Consistency also builds confidence. Each repeated action reinforces belief in your ability to succeed. Over time, this confidence becomes stable and independent of external results. Financial success is rarely the result of one major action. It is the result of repeated small actions performed consistently over time. This accumulation is what creates meaningful transformation. Long-term consistency is a commitment to patience, discipline, and steady effort. It is the decision to trust the process even when results are not immediate. It is the understanding that lasting success is built slowly but securely. When you commit to consistency instead of chasing quick results, you create a foundation that supports continuous growth. You move away from instability and towards structured progress. This approach builds not only financial success, but also mental strength and long-term resilience. Chapter 20. Share knowledge generously to create value and attract opportunities. Knowledge becomes powerful when it is not kept inside but shared with others. When you share what you understand, you do not lose it. Instead, you strengthen it. Sharing knowledge generously creates value not only for others but also for yourself. It expands your awareness, deepens your understanding, and naturally attracts opportunities that align with your growth. Many people believe that success comes from keeping information private or protecting what they know. While certain strategies may require discretion, true long-term growth is not built on isolation, it is built on contribution. When you help others understand useful ideas, you position yourself as someone who adds value. Value attracts attention, trust, and opportunity. Sharing knowledge also reinforces your own learning. When you explain something to others, your understanding becomes clearer. You begin to see gaps in your thinking. You refine your perspective. Teaching or sharing is one of the strongest ways to deepen comprehension. It transforms passive knowledge into active understanding. Generosity in knowledge is not about giving everything away without thought. It is about contributing meaningfully where you can help others grow. Even small insights can make a difference in someone's decision or direction. When these contributions are consistent, they build a reputation of usefulness and reliability. Opportunities often come through relationships. When people recognize that you consistently provide value, they are more likely to trust you. Trust creates connection. Connection creates opportunity. This process happens naturally when you focus on contributing rather than only receiving. Sharing knowledge also shifts your mindset from scarcity to abundance. Scarcity thinking believes that knowledge is limited and must be protected. Abundance thinking recognizes that knowledge grows when shared. The more you share, the more ideas you encounter, and the more your understanding expands. This mindset is essential for long-term growth. Another important aspect is accessibility. When knowledge is shared clearly and simply, it becomes useful to more people. Complexity often limits understanding. Simplicity increases impact. When you communicate ideas in a way that others can easily apply, your value increases significantly. Generosity also builds reputation over time. People remember those who help them learn and improve. A strong reputation for sharing useful knowledge can open doors that effort alone cannot. Opportunities often come from trust built through consistent contribution. Sharing knowledge does not require authority or perfection. It requires understanding and willingness. Even if your knowledge is still developing, sharing what you know helps others while strengthening your own growth. You do not need to be at the highest level to create value. You only need to be one step ahead of someone else. Another benefit of sharing knowledge is expanded perspective. When you interact with others through teaching or discussion, you are exposed to different viewpoints. These perspectives challenge your thinking and help you refine your understanding. Growth happens through interaction, not isolation. Knowledge sharing also improves communication skills. The more you explain ideas, the better you become at expressing them clearly. This clarity is valuable in all areas of life, especially in financial decision-making and professional growth. Clear communication increases influence and reduces misunderstanding. When you share knowledge consistently, you also build confidence. You begin to trust your understanding more. You realize that your insights have value. This confidence is not based on comparison but on contribution. It becomes stronger with every meaningful interaction. Another important effect of sharing knowledge is network growth. People naturally connect with those who provide value. As you share ideas, you attract individuals who are interested in learning and growing. These connections often lead to unexpected opportunities, collaborations, and insights. Generosity in knowledge also creates a cycle of learning. When you share, others respond with their own experiences and ideas. This exchange creates mutual growth. You learn from others while helping them learn from you. This cycle expands your understanding beyond what you could achieve alone. It is also important to share knowledge with intention. The goal is not random communication but meaningful contribution. Focus on areas where your experience or understanding can genuinely help others. Intentional sharing creates stronger impact and builds deeper trust. Another key point is consistency. Occasional sharing has limited effect. Consistent contribution builds recognition over time. When people repeatedly see value in your input, your influence grows naturally. Consistency transforms simple sharing into long-term opportunity building. Sharing knowledge also strengthens leadership qualities. Leadership is not only about position, but about influence and guidance. When you help others understand and grow, you naturally become a source of direction. This leadership attracts responsibility and opportunity. Another important benefit is personal fulfillment. Helping others understand something useful creates a sense of purpose. It reinforces the idea that your knowledge has meaning beyond personal gain. This sense of contribution improves motivation and emotional balance. Generosity also reduces fear of competition. When you share knowledge openly, you stop viewing others as threats. Instead, you see them as part of a shared learning environment. This mindset reduces stress and increases collaboration. It is also important to understand that sharing knowledge does not diminish your advantage. In most cases, your true advantage comes from how you apply what you know, not from keeping it hidden. Application and execution are what create results. Sharing ideas does not remove your ability to act on them. Another benefit of knowledge sharing is increased visibility. When you consistently contribute useful ideas, more people become aware of your presence. This visibility can lead to unexpected opportunities in professional and financial areas. Sharing knowledge also builds credibility. People trust those who provide clear, helpful, and practical insights. Credibility is built over time through consistent value delivery. Once established, it becomes a powerful asset in personal and financial growth. Another important aspect is adaptability. When you share knowledge, you are exposed to feedback and different interpretations. This helps you adjust your thinking and improve your understanding. Adaptability is strengthened through interaction. Generosity in knowledge also encourages continuous learning. When you commit to sharing what you know, you naturally stay updated. You become more aware of new ideas because you want to remain valuable to others. This creates a cycle of learning and sharing. Over time, sharing knowledge becomes part of identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who contributes, teaches, and supports growth. This identity influences your behavior and decisions. It naturally leads to more opportunities for connection and advancement. Another key point is that knowledge shared in simple and practical ways has the highest impact. People respond best to clarity. When you remove complexity and focus on usefulness, your message becomes more powerful and widely understood. Sharing knowledge generously also strengthens long-term relationships. People value those who help them grow. These relationships often last longer and provide more meaningful opportunities than transactional connections. It is also important to remain humble while sharing knowledge. The goal is contribution, not superiority. Humility keeps communication open and encourages genuine connection. It allows learning to flow in both directions. In the long term, generous sharing of knowledge creates a strong foundation for opportunity. It builds trust, expands awareness, strengthens relationships, and improves personal growth. Opportunities often come not from searching aggressively, but from consistently providing value where it is needed. When you share knowledge generously, you position yourself in a space where value flows naturally toward you. You become part of a network of growth and learning. This creates a cycle where contribution leads to opportunity, and opportunity leads to further growth.